with authority.
Was it too much for you?
I'll turn my hearing aid down.
We're good.
I heard that click.
Good evening. Thanks for coming. It's November 9th, 2022. And Kelly, can we call the roll, please?
Trustee Broderick,
Present.
Trustee Brzezinski,
Here.
Trustee Garcia-Guillen,
Present.
Trustee Lee,
Here.
Trustee Mahalik,
Here.
Trustee Morales,
Here.
Trustee Stemborski,
Here.
Trustee O'Connell.
Here. Thanks again. Welcome again for being apprised and apprising all of us of our duties and responsibilities. And I want to thank everybody for coming. And I want to thank Kelly Rogers for starting us off on this, and Karen, our new helper here at JJC. I need a lot of help for stuff like that. So who'd like to do the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? Michelle, would you like to do that? I think we do it twice. We've done it twice in a row now.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. 1.04 public comments. Kelly, are there any requests for public comments?
There are, Mr. Chairman, but before I introduce them, just a few housekeeping items that I'd like to read.
Yes.
Joliet Junior College welcomes public comment during its monthly board meetings. The purpose of this opportunity is to direct comments to the board on agenda items while keeping in mind that comments should be in good taste and demonstrate consideration for others. Each speaker is allowed up to 5 minutes. Thank you for following this procedure. Your cooperation will ensure that all individuals who wish to speak may do so while simultaneously providing for timely completion of the board's business agenda. Your continued interest in our community college is appreciated. And now I'd like to introduce Mr. Brian McDaniel of the American Red Cross, and the floor is yours.
Good evening, everyone. First audio check. Can you hear me without any problems?
Here, Brian.
Wonderful. Mr. Chairman, members of the Board of Trustees, President Namoa, good evening, everyone. My name is Brian McDaniel, and I'm the Executive Director for the American Red Cross of the Illinois River Valley, based in Romeoville. Our chapter serves more than 1 million people across 5 counties, which overlap your service area: Will, Grundy, Kendall, LaSalle, and Kankakee. And I want to thank you for allowing me this time for public comment, and I apologize that I am not in person this evening. I'm here to recognize and thank America's first junior college for its partnership with the American Red Cross of Illinois. The Red Cross has been part of the local community in one form or another since 1917. The current chapter, organized in 2015, actually began with one of your former presidents, J.D. Ross, as our first board chair. Today, we're proud to have Chief Brandon Campbell on our board, and I want to recognize his work to improve blood donations by people of African descent as part of our work to support people with sickle cell disease. So far this year, Joliet Junior College and the community has donated 137 units of life-saving blood during our 4 on-campus events. I'm also pleased to announce this evening that Chief Campbell has agreed to serve on the selection committee for our Red Cross Heroes program. Each year, the Red Cross of Illinois recognizes about a dozen people from around the state who have demonstrated extraordinary acts of courage, leadership, and kindness. Chief Campbell will serve on our selection committee for our law enforcement heroes. So, Chief, thank you very much. Mr. Chairman, there are also 2 other people I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge as well, Dr. Namoa and Kelly Roeder-Tonelli. As you may recall, border states recently transported migrants from the U.S.-Mexico border to several major cities, including Chicago. Humanitarian organizations and social service agencies provided support on many fronts, but we quickly realized the challenge of serving Spanish-only and Spanish-dominant clients. All of our across all nonprofits, bilingual volunteers are in dramatically short supply. And here is where JJC and your community rose to the challenge. When our partners reached out and asked the Red Cross for Spanish language support, my first call was actually to Dr. Namoa. I know the depth of the Hispanic community at JJC and that their hearts would be calling to help. So Dr. Namoa immediately stepped in and said yes. Within hours, Kelly Roeder-Tonelli had written a simple but very effective call to action that she distributed to the entire JJC community that night. And within 24 hours, 30 students, faculty, and alumni answered the call to be translators, greeters, and friendly faces with a warm smile. They did you all proud, and they were all humanitarians, and I'm here tonight to say thank you. On a personal note, when Kelly and I had lunch a couple of months ago, actually more than a couple of months ago, I don't believe either one of us would have expected such a strong partnership so quickly. We were looking for a place at the time to pre-deploy some of our shelter trailers. She brought our request to you, the Board of Trustees, and you gave us permission and access. So again, thank you. We're proud of our partnership with Joliet Junior College, and I really, truly want to thank you for allowing me the time to express that to you and the board and all of the team.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian.
Thank you. All right. We have, then, with that being said, do we have a motion on this day?
Not on that, Mr. Chairman.
This one doesn't require a motion.
This one, we don't require a motion. Then, any further communications?
No, sir, no further.
All right, all right. So, then thank you. Then we have the moment of silence.
Chairman O'Connell, trustees of the board, and members of the JJC community joining us tonight. First of all, I just want to extend my thanks to Brian and all he does. And Brian fails to mention that the reason he's not here today is because he's been deployed to different parts of the country to lead some of the recovery efforts related to some of the recent natural disasters, a hurricane in Florida. So just kudos to Brian, the American Red Cross, and all the good work they do. Somewhat related is I'd like the college community to join me in a moment of silence to acknowledge three individuals. The first being Mike Clark, the recently deceased president of the Joliet branch of the NAACP, also very active with the Joliet Chamber of Commerce and Board of Directors. Next, Barbara Brunner, mother of math professor Joanne Brunner. And lastly, Ronald Beksinski, father of Nathan Borg, our enterprise architect in the college's Division of Information Technology. So if the college community, please join me in a moment of silence.
Can I add
Yeah,
on before we
please,
do that?
Trustee Broderick.
Our former state representative, Renee Kozel's husband passed, Dr. Alfred Kozel. They were very big participants with JJC, and State Rep Renee did a lot for us.
Thank you.
So I'd like to add Dr. Alfred Kozel.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Great. Thank you, everyone. And
Okay.
Chairman, it looks like I'm up next.
You are.
Will I?
1.2, selected reports.
All right. Well, good evening, everyone, and thanks so much for being here today. It's a few months ago when I was making some career choices, determining, what would my next step be. JJC's, the conversations I had with many of you in this room led me to believe that JJC would be a part of my future, and I'm thankful that it is. And one of those questions that I asked many of you around this table is JJC ready for an ambitious agenda? Not only does JJC have the resources for this ambitious agenda, but JJC has the appetite for an ambitious agenda. So I'm gonna send some shout outs and some thanks. And I'm gonna start with Dr. Farmer. So what you're seeing here really represents the first big initiative under my leadership. And I'm very thankful for Dr. Farmer for embracing this. I'm thankful to Dr. Gray as well. I'm thankful to Dr. Mackey, to Missy, to Amanda, to Jennifer, to Bobby, to all the dual credit office team for their support in really embracing this and acknowledging the impact that this will have on our surrounding communities. In the short term, we'll impact hundreds of lives. In the immediate term, we'll impact hundreds of lives. In the short term, we'll impact thousands of lives. In the long term, we will impact tens of thousands of lives through this initiative. And the research is pretty clear that the more students accumulate college credit before they come to us, the more likely it is they come to us, the more likely it is they're successful once they get here. I want to take a minute to acknowledge some key partners in this initiative who've worked all day and have made time out of their very busy schedules to show up here at our board meeting in support of this initiative. I've gotten to know each and every one of them over the last 6 weeks or so, or 2 months, each one dedicated to the districts they lead. I'm so very thankful that they stand behind this initiative and thankful that they took time out of their day to be here. I'll invite a couple of them up to the podium to speak about this specific initiative. But allow me to introduce them, and I'm going to ask them to stand and be recognized. Dr. Lori Cristofero from Lockport Township High School. Dr. Carla Guzman from Joliet Township High School District. Dr. Rachel Kinder from Valley View School District. Dr. Craig Ortez from Morris Community High School District. Superintendent Dan Stecken from Seneca. Superintendent Chris Spencer from Coal City. I feel like I'm introducing the Chicago Bulls right now. I'm kind of like, we need some spotlights and some music. All right. Dr. Scott Tingley from Lincoln Way. And Dr. Glenwood from Plainfield. Please join me in a round of applause for our area superintendents today. So the big reveal is this, 12 by 12 by 12, that every single one of high school students, all high school students in our service area will have 12 college credits by the time they finish 12th grade and pay $12 a credit. I'm sort of skipping to the punchline here, but let me frame it and add some context as well. The objective is to drastically increase college-going rates across our entire district. And we're going to do that through this initiative by improving and enhancing relationships with our partner high school districts, improving and enhancing dual credit structure at JJC, and increase the number of high school students who earn college credit before they get here. The current state, currently only 12% of high school students participate in dual credit. Some of the numbers that stand out to me here, we've got nearly 40,000 high school students across our entire district, and only 12% of them participate. By allowing freshmen and sophomores to participate, my hope is to drastically increase that 12% number. For students who come to JJC, who then choose to matriculate to JJC, many of them, on average, they come to us with about 6 credits worth of dual credit. Those who participated come to us with about 6 credits. Through this initiative, we're hoping to double that, so that one semester will be under their belt before they even set foot on campus. Currently, about 35% of incoming freshmen have 1 credit under their belt. So we're looking to increase all of these numbers. In terms of matriculation, now while I mentioned primarily we're looking to increase college-going rates district-wide, I do have an eye, and the cabinet has an eye, and our leadership have an eye on our overall capture rates as well. We recognize that some of our dual credit students may not choose to come to JJC. There are a number of quality higher education institutions in the area and in the state of Illinois that they will choose. We also recognize by increasing the number who participate in dual credit, we're more likely to increase this 17% number. So these are some of our yield and capture rates. I want to take a moment to acknowledge another special guest we have here today. Dr. Brett Gould, would you please stand? And remain standing for 31 minutes. I'm just kidding. Brett, I'm just kidding. So you could sit, yeah. So the foundation is another ambitious agenda thing. We've got an incredible foundation here, ready to support the ambitious agenda of leadership on our Board of Trustees. And I'm so thankful to Christy Mulvey, to Amanda Quinn, to Dr. Brett Gould, to the executive committee specifically. They all stepped up and asked how they could help. So I had an audience with the executive committee, and the executive committee has committed to carving out $500,000 to support 12 by 12 by 12. $500,000 for students who are interested in and have successfully completed 12 by 12 by 12 and want to come to JJC, right? So again, Brett, thank you but on behalf of a very grateful president, and please send my thanks and gratitude to the executive committee, and thanks to you as well for being here today. All right. See, it wasn't 31 minutes. It was like, I want to take a moment again to acknowledge all the superintendents here and all the leaders, all high school leaders, all K through 12 leaders in our district. I've made my way across the district and met with each one of them to see JJC through their eyes, and we've accepted the challenge through this initiative to improve, to be better, and to increase college-going rates across our entire district. So thankful again for those who have made the time to be here today, but they also represent others who weren't able to be here. So with that, I think what I'd like to do is invite Dr. Rachel Kinder and Dr. Carla Guzman to the podium to take a bit of my time.
Thank you, Dr. Noel. Good evening, Board of Trustees, JJC leadership, fellow colleagues, and community. My name is Rachel Kinder, and I'm the superintendent of Valley View School District, which proudly serves Bolingbrook and Romeoville communities. I do want to begin this evening by acknowledging and showing our appreciation to Dr. Nemuel for his commitment to building partnerships and growing upon those partnerships that we already have in place. I think it's pretty indicative of his commitment that he took the time to meet one-on-one with so many of us, to listen, to learn, and to share his vision for the 12 by 12 initiative. And through that, as he mentioned, we did really have some real conversations about what's strong and what are opportunities that we continue to grow and improve. And that's something that we hold near and dear as educators, and that is continuous improvement, partnership, and then equitably serving our students. So I speak tonight as superintendent of Valley View, but also as a fellow superintendent of many of my colleagues, and Dr. Nemuel named out those districts. And we've had a lot of conversations, and I think many of us are very intrigued and we're excited to build and grow and evolve together. And we also want to continue this dialogue about the conversation of exactly what does this look like and how does this align with our goals and our interests, and how does this ultimately provide equity and access and opportunity for our kids and is for the betterment of the community. Dr. Carla Guzman is going to speak a little bit about objective and alignment, and then we'll close.
Thank you, Rachel. Again, Carla Guzman from Joliet Township High School. I want to just share the tenets of the Dual Credit Quality Act because I think this plan is directly aligned to those. And so it's important for us to just reemphasize that. So the goal is to reduce college costs, to speed time to degree completion, to partner to develop curriculum and improve alignment with college and workplace expectations, to facilitate the transition between high school and college, to enhance communication between high schools and colleges, and to offer opportunities for improving degree attainment for underserved underserved student populations. And all of that is important. And as the superintendent for Joliet Township High School, that last one with underserved student populations is near and dear to my heart, as I know it is to all my fellow superintendents. But with 60% of our kids who are on free and reduced lunch, this is a access that they have not had in the past. And I should say access meaning expanded access. And I so appreciate the discussion and the commitment to opening dual credit up to students who are ready in the 9th and 10th grade, because that is essential. And I feel like I was heard and other superintendents were heard when we talked about that. And this is going to put kids in a better place for that direct pathway to college if they so choose. And as a parent of a current JJC student, as someone who's lived in Joliet, my entire life, this is going to help our community because the kids, wherever they go, they usually return to this region. And if we can put them in the best place possible for earning a wage that is going to allow them to be successful at providing for their family, that's huge. And I think that that's what this does. So I just want to thank all of you for your support in this initiative. I'm not going to speak for the rest of the superintendents with my language, but I know we are so excited to continue to involve and make this dual credit partnership the best it can possibly be. And I agree with Dr. Kinder. There's really good things in place. So it's continuing to build what's already there and just improving it each year. So thank you for this opportunity, but I definitely want to share my support on this.
Thank you.
Thank you, Carla. I just have a few more comments. I too, born, raised, educated in Joliet Public Schools, lifelong resident of Will County. So I shared with Dr. Numuau, I come with a very vested interest and a heart for doing everything we possibly can to be the strongest we can as a community for our kids. So, and I told him, he said, do you have any criticism of this plan? What is it? Just give me real feedback. And I said, I'll be real honest with you. I admire and I appreciate the college's interest to increase enrollment, to increase, your numbers, so to speak. And that's right. The big picture for you to increase college going rates and your enrollment. I appreciate that. And I do not feel that our interests are not, reciprocal and mutually beneficial, right? Because our interest is to increase that access and opportunity, but we have the vision, and it fits in here so nicely in the sense of our students being on an educational pathway. And college is an essential component of that educational pathway. And so we see JJC as a critical partner to help us build the pathways to be stronger and stronger so that our students do have that intentional plan when they graduate, when they leave us, when they go into post-secondary, and when they go into career in the workforce. And so that's what I really think it comes down to. And I shared this with Dr. Numuau. I truly believe it is about partnership. It is not just about putting this into place and creating this. It's about thinking how at every level we can improve our communication and our collaboration. And we have some really strong examples to build upon, but we also have a lot of real challenges and barriers and opportunities. And I really appreciate that he was very receptive to listening to those. And I appreciate that we are looking to have a place at the table where we can have a shared voice and problem solving and growing and evolving together. And he made that very, very clear in our conversation. So I truly do feel that the 12 by 12 by 12 initiative is a great entry point to ignite this effort, to really grow this partnership. And I have visions for what we can be as a region. And I know that ultimately that will benefit our students, our young adults, our adults in the workforce, and that will be of tremendous benefit to our community. So we look forward to, and I think I can say this on behalf of the superintendents, we very much look forward to continuing this dialogue, talking more about what actually this vision entails, and then in digging into that and then making that come to life. So we do look forward to that at the superintendent level with our collective collaboration, and then collaboration at all of the other levels throughout our respective educational institutions that I think can be mutually beneficial and ultimately benefit the learners. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much. And I think with that, I'd be happy to take any questions from the board on this particular.
I'd like to, if it's okay,
Yep.
Okay, thank you. So I just wanted to say thank you to Dr. Namuo and to every superintendent that took time out to be here today. I think this is definitely a step in the right directions for JJC and for our overall surrounding 525 community. So I want to celebrate this. And I think that the 12 by 12 by 12 proposal has been intentionally very well thought out, and the timing is very appropriate as we are still addressing some of the other needs and gaps of our incoming students that are, as we're coming out of the pandemic. And as you mentioned earlier, dual enrollment is a good way for high school students to get a head start on their college education. They can get the experience of attending classes on a college campus while saving a lot of money on future tuition costs. But I like something that Dr. Kinder mentioned. I liked some words you said. You said equity, access, and opportunity. And those are words that we are taking very seriously into making sure that we continue to offer these programs, these opportunities to our students. So I just want to say thank you, Dr. Namuo, for giving this a lot of thought and bringing it up, and to Dr. Farmer and Dr. Gray and every staff member here at the college. And I look forward to working with all of you here and with our surrounding community. Thank you.
I have one. I too would like to thank all of you for coming. It was great meeting all of you again, and for the collaboration with Dr. Namuo on this project too. And I'd also like to compliment him, because we just came back from National, and I went to a conference session that was dealing with bringing in 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th all together for dual credit hours. Nebraska School Community College was very accelerated. They're one of the first ones to start it. It's good that JJC is always a first runner in doing things. So I think Dr. Namuo is on the right path of getting you all stimulated with this change, because I think we need it. But the other thing too that they mentioned, and I'll share this with the high schools, is that 7th and 8th grade is where they see the high schools gathering to get the students interested in what their careers might be. Because sometimes in 11th and 12th grade, they already know, and their decisions are already made. We can still help formulate what they could possibly be. And there's a lot of opportunities looking at 7th and 8th grade, as well as 9th and 10th, because we could stimulate them, since we know that jobs are a definite need and they need to know what they're doing, not just go in undecided to a college and spend a lot of money. So with all that, I appreciate all the involvement and support. I think this is great. And like I said, 7th and 8th grade too, which I know is your focus too. Thank you.
All right, may I have the floor for a moment?
You got it.
All right. So, hi, my name is Joshua Stamborski. I am the student trustee for Joliet Junior College, and I'm also a graduate of Lincoln Way West. Hello, Superintendent. I was a dual credit student. It was it was incredibly important for me to be a dual credit student. The reason I'm sitting here is because I'm a dual credit student. Having that process of confidence, it gives a student a little bit of confidence, because they have a little bit of experience in the college world. So it makes the transition easier. And when they have that confidence, they're more prepared to succeed, and they really want to succeed. So I'm actually really looking forward to how 12 by 12 by 12 is going to help the students moving into the future. I foresee a lot of very confident students walking into JJC. So
There you go.
I'm looking forward to it.
I just want to thank everyone for coming and taking the time out of your days to be here and to support this. It does mean a lot, and we all sound really excited about it. So thank you.
I would like to reflect the same, but I'd like to also change the name to 12 Cubed.
That's good.
Again, thank you for all your time and effort, guys. I think this is going to be a great program for great partnerships for all of us. And I think it's going to be good for all the high school levels and for our Joliet Junior College community as well. So thanks very much.
We stop all the printing presses and quit printing brochures now?
I know.
It's a whole marketing campaign, Trustee Mahalik.
12 cubed.
Good. Chairman O'Connell, I want to give our illustrious superintendents an opportunity to leave right now gracefully, and thank them again for being here in support of this initiative. I know they're very busy, so. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming.
They may have school districts to run, and so
They have a school to run tomorrow, right?
All right.
Okay. The chairman, with that, I'll yield back to you. I think we've got Dean Morris up next.
Okay. Yeah. 1.2.2, fall enrollment report.
Thanks, Chairman.
Dean Morris.
Oh, and my apologies. We'll have Dr. Farmer tee it up.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Numuo. Good evening, Chairman O'Connell, trustees of the board, and JJC community. So before we introduce the enrollment report, I have a very special guest that I would like to introduce everyone to today. I have the pleasure of introducing our new Vice President for Student Development, Roberto Carlos Valadez.
Oh,
Please.
All right.
So I just want to say this because Roberto knew I was going to say a little bit about him, but he's only been here with us for only 3 weeks, and he has hit the ground running 100%. And I'm just thrilled that he is a member of the JJC community. He comes to us. I know I'm giving you direct eye contact. He comes to us with over 20 years of experience in higher education, not just in student development, but also in adult education and also academic affairs. So a great addition to the JJC family. And once again, Roberto, welcome. Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. Wonderful. So in addition to welcoming Roberto to JJC, we have so much to be proud of as a college community. Dr. Numuo has set a bold, I'm going to use that term, Dr. Numuo, bold agenda for the administration around student enrollment, dual credit, online learning, and I will tell you the list goes on and on. And he really is about stressing the importance of excellence. So I just want to share that with you today. So today, Bob Morris, the Dean of our Enrollment Management, is once again here today to provide an update for all of us regarding our student enrollment. We do have some exciting news. I mean, we continue to see an uptick in student enrollment, specifically with our traditional age students, and of course, our Latinx population continues to grow. And so it's really exciting time for the college. So in fact, I just want to let you all know that we did host a very successful Discover JJC on Saturday. We had over 500, and I'm not sure, Bob, if you're going to mention this, 500 students and parents on site exploring Joliet Junior College. So once again, it speaks to our commitment to excellence and our collaboration with all of our external partners. So at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Dean Morris, who will provide the update about enrollment. Dean Morris?
Chairman O'Connell, trustees of the board, members of the JJC community, my name is Bob Morris, and I'm the Dean of Enrollment Management here at the college. It seems like every time I come before you, I tell a different story, and tonight will be no exception. We have navigated through a pandemic, and now, God willing, we are post-pandemic. So I have some news to share related to our enrollment, specifically the demographics. I'll share those with you. I'll compare a little bit of those to between fall 2022 and fall 2021. I will talk about where we are today versus where we were at the 10th day census, and because those are telling numbers. And then finally, I will preview a little bit about where we are headed for spring and some of the things that we'll be working on. So again, I appreciate the opportunity to present to you this evening. It is always my pleasure to do so. So in looking at the demographics for JJC, we saw some interesting things happen this fall that are worth noting. A lot of these are going to look very similar to what you've seen in previous reports. You all have the numbers in front of you. One of the things, though, that I think stands out is related to our Hispanic population. In fall of 2021, 29% of our students were Hispanic students. Fall 2022, that number jumped to 31%. So we're very excited about that. Nationally, Hispanic enrollment grew at community colleges about 1.2%. And I'll get to where we are a little bit later, but I'll tell you it's way above that. So that very, very good news there with our Hispanic population. And some of the other demographics to review. The gender demographic, We moved the needle just slightly back towards men. 56% now are women, 44% are men. In 21, it was, again, 1% higher for women, 1% lower for men. Our part-time to full-time number has shifted quite a bit as well, and again, in a good way. In the fall of 21, our numbers were part-time 68% and full-time 32%. And in fall of 22, our full-time numbers grew to 65% compared to 35% for full-time. So the number of full-time students grew, as did the average number of credit hours that students took, both full-time and part-time. Really important numbers there, because those are the students that are taking the courses. They're taking more courses. They understand the desire to get through the programs as quick as they can, as quick as their schedules will allow. So seeing the average credit hours jump a little bit, I think, is very encouraging. Our age demographics have pretty much stayed very consistent. They have been since I've been here, and this is my 5th year here. Our average age has hovered right around 23 years of age. So that has really not shifted much. And again, some of the 21 numbers as well that I've just reviewed. What I really would like to focus on next is the numbers related to the 10th day census versus where we are today. The 10th day census is a snapshot, as you all know, of where we are in enrollment 10 days after the semester begins. And the numbers, as you see on this screen, don't look all that promising. However, I will tell you that this is not an accurate reflection of where JJC stands at the culmination of the fall semester. Two main factors. One, JJC has a very robust schedule now of late start courses, which helps tremendously after that 10th day period. And secondly, and this is a problem all across the state, the timing of dual credit entry varies year to year because it's dependent on when the high schools are able to get us that information. So last fall, if you recall, and I'm sure you do because you love when I speak in front of you, we showed an 11% increase at 10th day. And I cautioned you that we were going to be leveling off because that was sort of inflated because of the timing of dual credit entry. Well, this year, the exact opposite happened. So we're showing an 11.6% decrease in headcount and a 6.2% decrease in credit hours. The good news, though, is that we rebounded significantly and we're showing increases pretty much across the board now. And looking at where our students come from, the top areas, Joliet, Plainfield, Romeoville, and Bolingbrook. Those have pretty much stayed consistent. One thing that Dr. Namoa alluded to earlier that we're keeping a really close eye on are the yield rates. You know, the number of students that enroll here versus the number in the graduating class. And I'm very happy to report that from fall 21 to fall 22, we saw increases in our yield rates at Joliet, Plainfield, Romeoville, Bolingbrook. Matter of fact, almost all of the high schools in Will County. And I can certainly get you more data if you would like to see it. But that's a really important thing because as we all know, high school populations are continuing to shrink. So we're going to need, even to break even, to increase the yield rate so that we are getting the same number of students. So I think that's a testament to the admissions team that's out in the high schools, the new approach we took this past spring and this fall and this coming spring, where we're taking teams of individuals to the high schools to serve the students, to meet with them through advising, through scholarships, through where they are at that particular moment in the funnel. We've shifted everything, and I think that's important to note there, especially when we look at where our students are coming from. So for fall, these numbers were from when I actually created the presentation, but the numbers have changed some in a positive way. On October 4th, when that data was collected, we were up 1.36% in headcount. I'm happy to report that today, as of this morning's numbers, we're actually up 3.14% for fall. So we continue to make up ground and head in that positive direction. And in credit hours, we're now up 2.0% in credit hours for fall. So again, really great numbers. Dual credit is up over 7%. It still is today. Fantastic numbers there. And then this one really caught my attention. The adult basic education, the ESL, the GED students, all of those non-credit programs, they're up over 25% this fall. And that provides not only a context for what they're doing, but it also provides us with opportunities for what we can do to help those students transition into JJC programs. So we're going to continue to work with that and be excited about that. And as I mentioned, our Latinx enrollment is up 7.6%. Our African American enrollment is pretty much flat. Matter of fact, it's almost identical. 1192 in 2021 versus 1191 this year, so only off by one student. And I will tell you that nationwide, African American enrollment is down about 1.6%. So for us to be flat in African American enrollment, we are above the national average. And in terms of Latinx enrollment, again, up 1.2% nationally, we're up 7.6%. So what I would consider very good news there. Our full-time enrollment in the fall took a little bit of a nosedive, 2%. Part-time numbers were up. That is not unusual. The next point, though, is one that I really want to drive home with you. The 16 to 20-year-old age bracket, we're up over 1,000 students. Great news. We all know why. The high school work we're doing, the dual credit, all contributes to that. The adult populations, we're down almost 1,000 students there, over 900 students. So what does that mean? What does that mean for us going forward? Well, as Dr. Namoa alluded to, industry experts agree. Dual credit is going to drive community college headcount for years to come. And us being out front of it, I think is going to be a great thing. For the adult population, though, there are so many things we cannot control. We cannot control the jobs that are out there. We cannot control the wages that adult students are getting. We don't always know where they are. Industry experts agree that community colleges need to go after the adult students. Nobody really knows exactly how to do that. So that's why I'm very glad that Vice President Valadez is here. He and I will be working closely with our teams. And since there are so many things we can't control, we're really going to make sure we do a good job with the things we can control. We want to make sure that our adult population has an onboarding and entry experience that will help them navigate through the barriers. We want to have staff that are trained, working in the evenings and the weekends, that are capable of looking at a student's portfolio and saying, you know what, I think you can earn X number of credits here just by the work you've already done in that Cisco certificate you got, or in the 20 years you've had at the job. We want to have experts that can look at other college transcripts and say, you know what, you're only 12 credits away from your associate degree. Right now, we've got some work to do to get there, but we want to get there. But it even goes deeper than that. We want to make sure that as a college, we have the product that adult students want. We want to make sure that we have the programs that they want, that they can complete in a short amount of time as possible to earn them that credential. We've talked in the past about how the value of education is being challenged right now. Value is more than just dollars and cents. Value is also about time. A student's time is very valuable to them. They need to know before they even enter the tunnel that they can see the light at the end of the tunnel. And that's what we're going to work hard to do. So I'm happy that Vice President Valadez is here. We've got a lot of things that we're working on and we'll continue to work on. So looking forward, again, the dual credit initiative, continuing the outstanding work we're doing to get our incoming freshman classes coming in from the high schools, and certainly working and doing a better job making JJC a great option for our returning adults. And that is my report this evening. I'll be glad to answer any questions.
I have something.
Thank you.
Great presentation. At National, it was identified with building better partnerships through one of the schools that gave their presentation. They talked about all of what you're saying, but they were drawing in on the older group, the 21 to 30, which seems to be what we've gone down on. They said the better partnering with the partnerships allows us to show them and coordinate with them the types of degrees that can be attained, and that they would pay for their scholarship and fund fund their tuition, but also know that they'd be hired full time. And I think that's something that needs to sink into these students, because if the partnerships agree that they can work together with us to obtain a certification or a certain type of degree for what their jobs need, we would increase our enrollment, but also increase the opportunity for more students to get better jobs working for those companies with the degrees needed, not just as students, but to get them where they can afford to have families and not be, scared of income situations.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think partnerships is certainly an area that we're going to focus much more heavily on. We have the partnership with Amazon and a few others, but I feel like we haven't even scratched the surface in what's available to us.
And they basically showed us all of the partnerships that they had established, which I thought was wonderful. I mean, they went into every bit for medical, for agricultural, for anything business related, construction related. There was just so much they opened up our eyes to in that conference that it was excellent to see how much they offered and how much they went out as the team to work together with these companies. And they became our partners, solid partners, And then also they recommended that, even with the foundation helping too, and I know the foundation is in the audience, that they partnered with the foundation meeting all these so that they could also be included in the foundation part as contributors to the foundation. It formed a real good bond. And then the other question I had too, because they brought this up too, was reverse transfers. When you look at 1,027 increasing and you look at the part-time enrollment, do you think any of these are caused by students now that are watching because of inflation, their extra additional courses not needed for the course of study, but their additional courses needed to get their degrees? Is that possible that that's why that we have the part-time here? Because I know a lot of students come in the summer, and if they live here and they're going to local universities, I know that some of them are enrolled during some of the courses online. Is that something that's increasing our enrollment on that area?
More so in the summer than in other terms, but we still do get what we refer to as guest students that come here specifically to fulfill a requirement while they're pursuing a degree somewhere else.
Right.
But you mentioned reverse transfer, and I think that is another area that as we look ahead, that we can look more strongly at and strategically at. Reverse transfer is the concept where, let's say a student takes 40 credits here at JJC and then goes to U of I. And they're working towards their bachelor's at U of I, but they never got that associate here. We then bring those credits back and we award them credit for what they did at the U of I so that they can not only keep working towards their bachelor degree, but we can award them the credential of the associate degree as well. So that is certainly a way to increase our graduation rates and certainly a way to increase our enrollment. So the way to do that is to continue to look at ways to engage with those guest students, because I think they're the ones that going back to dual credit, they may have taken dual credit classes here and that kind of whet their appetite a little bit. They went on somewhere else, but those are the students that may end up coming back, taking advantage of those summer classes, some of those reverse transfer opportunities.
Right. And do you ever show the students too, and I don't know how much you're aware, but I was aware as a parent, that if they have their associate's degree and they go on to any of our state universities in Illinois, they can walk on with good scholarships if their GPA is 3.25 or better, which is a good promotional thing to utilize, because we all watch as parents when we're going from this scholarship to that scholarship and it's 200 or 500 or whatever. But if they can walk on with a nice couple thousand scholarship.
It's the Phi Theta Kappa.
Yeah, Phi Theta Kappa. I mean, that's huge.
Yeah. And Trustee Broderick, thank you. I want to just provide a little more context and information kind of related to what you're pushing us to do and think about. A few years ago, the American Association of Community Colleges initiated the Guided Pathways Framework. Mm-hmm. And that was the crux of which was really around making a student's time at their institution more efficient. Mm-hmm. So no hidden prerequisites, for example, taking only classes that they need as part of their program and course of study. And there are some financial aid implications as well, right? Students use up more financial aid with us. That's less financial aid for them to use at the university. So, I'm proud of the work that JJC's done around guided pathways and our commitment to that framework. It just means that we're committed to not holding on to students longer than we need to, right?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of that relates to industry alignment as well.
And I understand that because I understand that one of the schools talked about extending clearing the pathways because I'm very, very familiar with that. So that was going to be in my report because that was part of what they said, to extend our clear pathways. So that was a building that I heard that I thought, okay, this is a good position of us to look at clearing and extending our pathways.
Well, my thought was, when you're talking about not holding on to students, and I'm looking at an increase in 16 to 20-year-olds and a decrease in 21 to 30-year-olds, they've already gone through and they've completed what they can here and they've moved on, hopefully. So, while trying to work with companies for those who to come back for continuing education is a great idea. I think that might be a trend with us reaching out to the high schools and creating those connections. This might be a trend that we see on the junior campuses where we are getting the younger students, and we're going to see that enrollment continue to increase, where the 20 to 30-year-olds are going to decrease because we've already reached them. My thought is, we've done a great job. My other thought about this presentation, thank you, you did a great job, is we've done such a great job with the Hispanic community and focusing on increasing that enrollment. What can we do to try to give incentives to our African American community, and what can we do for them to try to increase their enrollment now that we look like we're in a good trajectory? For the Hispanic community, I really think that we need to focus on those numbers.
Yeah, I agree with you. And the African American population was the population that was hit hardest by the pandemic. National studies indicate that. I feel like we're positioned well to do what you just said. Our Office of our Center for Multicultural Access and Success. It's a mouthful, right, Dr. Farmer?
Yes, it is.
That is their, and I see them operate every day. The team that goes down to the city center and goes out into high schools and here on the main campus, they're working tirelessly to bring more African Americans onto campus. We can certainly do more, but I feel like we have a good structure in place to at least begin the outreach that we need to do.
I have one other thing that I'm going to ask. Being that there's been a big trend in job situations, do we ever have anybody going down to unemployment and talking to those people that are now unemployed to find out if they don't have to be reactivated into something other than what they were? Because there's a lot of people still on unemployment. And if there's some that need assistance in getting certified in something else to go into a different job direction, we should be looking at that as an avenue to at least investigate.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's honestly something I had not considered, but I'm definitely going to make a note of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have one other thing I'd like to ask, if you don't mind. Thank you for your presentation. This is something that I was probably going to share in my report of our findings at the conference that we just returned from in New York. What I noticed in some of the conferences, workshops that I attended is there were some local schools from Illinois that presented, like Waubonsee Community College and Elgin Community College. And they gave really, really good presentations on things that they're doing internally to intentionally, increase enrollment, persistency, and retention and graduation rates. One of the things they mentioned, though, because they are both Hispanic serving institutions, and they said, we are not just a Hispanic enrolling institution, we are a Hispanic serving institution. And I understand we are not one because, and correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it's because the number of students here, we don't have 25% of them receiving financial assistance, correct? We're not there yet? Is that?
I don't know the exact number, but
Right.
I know that is the concept.
Right.
That you have to reach a threshold of those students that are receiving federal aid.
Right. So that implies that the students that are attending are a little bit more affluent because they're not receiving FAFSA. So my question is, are we talking to the ones that are not receiving FAFSA? Because I know when I first came here, I didn't think I qualified for FAFSA, so I never applied. And I was struggling to pay cash to attend school until somebody said, why don't you just apply and see if you qualify? And then I qualified for everything. I had a 0 EFC, but I thought that because I owned a home, I couldn't qualify for FAFSA, so I never applied. So I'm wondering how many students do we have in that same situation that maybe do qualify, but nobody's ever had the conversation. And there's probably a lot of returning adult students. If we could maybe at some point, and I know you have a lot on your plate, but start a campaign where we can make a phone call or a text message to these folks that are not receiving, because I bet we can change that in maybe one semester if we really start, if we intentionally look into those numbers and see if they are students. And I think we can hit that, we can meet and exceed that 25%. And so then that would take us off of the Hispanic enrolling and put us into a Hispanic serving institution also. So then if once we get that qualification, we can then apply for the grants, because these schools that presented, they're doing great things, but they have the financial resources that they were able to obtain because they were able to get the grants because they're an HSI.
Yeah, excellent comments. Thank you. I feel that the timing could be right for your suggestion, because as we know, they're changing the FAFSA for next year. They're simplifying it, which I think is going to help on multiple levels. But that could be a great opportunity to create some sort of a campaign like that to maybe take away some of the intimidation. Because let's face it, government forms are not the easiest to fill out. But I like that suggestion, and I'll certainly take that back. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
And in addition to what Trustee Morales said, they always are looking. There was another conference session that said, look at the diversity, equity, and inclusion in all, so that is constantly included in what you're doing. So I would ask that you also include Dr. Escortina, so that we do have a DEI when we're looking at even like a nursing program, that we have equality of everyone that has a chance to get into the programs that are needed for all races.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We just had a room full of superintendents. Why can't we go to them and ask them for a focus group of students that they don't see having a pathway to JJC, and get in front of them and let them tell us what their hurdle is? We're sitting here assuming we know what the hurdles are, and we probably don't. And the two trustees have both hit on two populations of students we'd like to serve. But do we really know why those students aren't coming here? Have we ever talked to them? Have we ever heard from the superintendents? Again, if we had a focus group of students, just let them tell us, why can't they come to JJC?
Yeah, we are certainly doing more, but we have a way to go. I feel like the shift in the recruiting practice and sending more people, we are meeting those students now more so than ever where they are, and they are telling us where they're struggling in the process.
Are we learning anything from
Yeah,
them?
we're learning a lot. We're learning that the application process can be a little bit intimidating. We're learning that a lot of people don't have the confidence. They may not feel that they're college material. They're leery of some of the support they may or may not get from home. So I said this earlier, I don't recall the exact context of the conversation, but in terms of, the college experience, and we saw all those parents, and it was so great to see them Saturday morning. And we talked, and the Office of Disability Services was packed all morning. So the point I'm trying to make is we've gone from just selling the college based on academics, selling the college based on, career. We are now also selling the college based on resources we can provide to students as they're considering sending their children here, as well as the resources available once those kids get here. So the resources that these students need to get to JJC, they're significant. And I think those are some of the barriers that we're talking about. They don't know that as a community college, JJC has mental health advocates. They don't know that we have a tutoring and learning center that can help them every step of the way. They don't know that we have a laptop loaner program. We're trying to do everything we can to make them aware of these resources, but it's an uphill battle. And because I think that those are the barriers you're talking about on some level. They're afraid because they're afraid that they may not have this or they may not have that, and they just don't know that we can help. So we're working with the students, we're working with the parents. We talked earlier in admissions about going back to having parents' nights where we can talk to the parents alone and say, look, when you entrust your children here, these are the things we can offer them. And these are the things we can do to help support you so you don't feel overburdened at home as well. So everything's changing. We're trying the best we can to change with it and to learn each and every semester. As I said when I opened today, every story is different from 3 years ago to today. And the story now definitely involves resources and how we can help the students that are coming and how we can help the students when they're here to help them cross the finish line and graduate.
And especially when you mention disabilities, the one thing, I have a nephew that's severe disability. The thing that we didn't know, and I found out through when you did your other presentation last year, was that you had services with PACE, because he doesn't drive. Some of those just don't drive. PACE will pick them up at their house, which I was totally blown away at. And he's being picked up at his house. And that's why he's here. And he's from Joliet Central. He's a graduate from there. But they didn't know that they had that service. Yeah, so we need to make sure publicly that every school superintendent knows what we can do even for our special needs, because that is critical. Because they have limitations, and we have to make sure that we can meet those limitations if possible.
Yeah. In our enrollment snapshot meeting this morning, we have our new director of marketing, Robin Ballard, and she was in the meeting. And I said, I think this is a real opportunity to look at how we build awareness towards these resources. So the conversations have been starting, and they'll certainly continue.
Good.
Yeah, thank you so much for your presentation. Sorry, Michelle. Thank you so much for your presentation. Something that really stuck was the 3% headcount that you mentioned. That is really great that all the programs that we have with the Flex Star and also the dual credits are heading in the right direction. I think something that my fellow trustees have already mentioned, that you already mentioned, that is really the core of everything that you discuss is equity. We have different types of students, and just understanding that different types of students are going to require different resources is going to be crucial for us to be able to connect them to those resources by doing additional promotion of different programs that we have available, resources, mental health, and all of that. But just going back to equity is going to be crucial as we move forward. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for the dialogue. Thank you.
Can I say one more thing? I'm
Certainly.
sorry. I know you want to move on. This is really, I'll make it really brief. And this is something else, because this is the right time for it. And if I say it later, it's anyhow. So one other workshop I attended, and this was really interesting, because this president, everybody here should make a note to email President Margaret McMenamin. She is the president of Union College, New Jersey, because she is on a mission to increase enrollment for African-American students, particularly the young men. And she is using the athletics to hold that little carrot just to come in and play, not even to study or go to school, come in and play. And she said, once we get him here, we then slowly present, hey, let's take a placement test, or let's get a schedule going for you, and so you can keep playing. She brings that love of the game, love of playing. And if you listen to her numbers and you see what she's doing, please look her up, give her a call, send her an email, and let her know, explain the model, the presentation she gave at the conference. That's somebody that we need to learn from, because she's very assertive, very aggressive, and she's been very successful in really changing the culture of the school and really increasing enrollment, and not just that, but graduation rates for African American men. So that's definitely somebody we need to be talking with. Thank you. Sorry, thank you.
You just mentioned the pandemic when talking about the rates of African Americans. I don't notice a change. It was 9%. I wasn't here. I was prior to 2020. So I'm just wondering what those numbers look like. Did they fall from 2020 then? And from that 9%, was it over 9% prior to the pandemic? Is this, I understand they may have been hit harder, but I just wonder, is this really pandemic driven, or is it just something that we need to work harder to get them in, like Trustee Morales was just saying, as far as incentives? Speaking of sports being an incentive, we have the sports facility that doesn't cost much to rent. However, you need $1 million insurance policy in order to get anybody in there. So that's kind of a problem. As far as opening our facility up to people, that's a little bit of a challenge there. Unless you have $1 million insurance policy with your not-for-profit, which a lot of not-for-profits are not going to have.
Well, I always try to come prepared.
Good. I was gonna jump in.
So in fall of 19, we had 1,474 African-American students enrolled. Fall of 2020, that number dipped all the way down to 1,009. So it was a very significant drop.
Bob, do you know the percentages? Because, the enrollment obviously dipped in that same year too, so.
That was I'm sorry. Trustee.
Just trying to keep apples to apples. You know, I like, I'm a mathematician, so I like the total base has to be a certain percentage. So
I don't have the percentage, but in looking from 1,400 to 1,000, I'm not the math guy, but I'm thinking around 33%, 32%.
Pretty close.
You were pretty close. It was off the top of your head.
That's a huge decrease.
That is a huge. That's a huge drop. So I just wanted to know that. I just thought about that question. Thank you.
You're welcome.
thank you for the presentation. I'm always excited when you're speaking because this is why we're here. We want to get the enrollment up. We want to make sure those kids succeed. We want them to get their next opportunity in life. So
thank you. I
very much appreciate it again. So.
And Dean Morris, I kind of want to put a bow on this and just acknowledge all of the work of you and your team. I mean, and be thankful. I'm thankful that there's interest around the table from the trustees. And my hope is that how about this? Our commitment to you all is that we'll take this and it will inform different iterations of our overall strategic enrollment management plan, right? Because we could jump at a lot of different things and engage, but we want to honor the planning process as well at the college under Bob's leadership here. I mean, we're in a good space and just appreciate all the energy. I've got so many notes here. And I promise to put a bow on this, but I will, in regards to really all of your interest around equity, if so, the research is starting to emerge, right? So if you look at an article most recently by the Center of Budget Policy and Practice, so how have minority communities, how have minority students been impacted by the pandemic? So to Trustee Lee's point, absolutely. In every category, our Black and brown students were impacted more than their white counterparts. So glaring examples, right, around healthcare, food, transportation, insecurity, and unemployment as well. So when our minority students were moved out of the workforce, and this is a great article, so I would encourage you, and perhaps we'll provide it to the trustees at some point, when they were moved out, and that's a euphemism, right? When they lost their jobs as a result of the pandemic, they were 3 times more likely to stay unemployed. Mm-hmm. So consider that for our students who lost their part-time jobs and are still unemployed and trying to make ends meet. College might be down on the list, right? Nonetheless, strategies that we've got in place under our strategic enrollment management plan will make a difference. And all of your feedback is great, and it's going to inform the next version of that. So, Bob, thank you.
Thank you. Have a great evening.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dean Morris. I hope you've got enough information and enough ammunition now. All right, 1.2.3.
Yes.
Recognition of retiree Mary Grisham. And that'll be by Dr. Gray.
Good evening, Chairman O'Connell, trustees of the board, and JJC community. I'm honored to read this resolution for Mary Grisham. So whereas Mary Grisham has been a loyal and dedicated employee of Joliet Junior College from June 2005 through December 2022 for 17 years of service with the college, retiring as a coordinator at Whitendorf Agricultural Education Center. And whereas throughout her years of service, Mary Grisham has demonstrated admirable support for the ideals of education, as well as for the institution of Joliet Junior College and the people whom the college serves. And whereas the service performed throughout her years at Joliet Junior College has always been of the highest standards of professionalism, quality, and excellence. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees of Illinois Community College District 525, Joliet Junior College, counties of Will, Grundy, Kendall, LaSalle, Kankakee, Livingston, and Cook, State of Illinois, does hereby recognize and commend Mary Grisham for her distinguished service, as well as her diligence, perseverance, and loyalty in executing those duties as herein stated, adopted this 9th day of November, 2022.
So moved.
Second.
Kelly?
Oh, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Trustee Broderick?
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski?
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen?
Yes.
Trustee Lee?
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik?
Yes.
Trustee Morales?
Yes.
Trustee Stemborski?
Aye.
Trustee O'Connell?
Yes. Thank you. 1.2.4, Dr. Bob Marsink. How are you?
I'm good, Chairman. Hi, everybody. As always, Dr. Nemo and all the board members. I will try to make this quick. I actually didn't have much in the way of prepared remarks today, but so many things have been said that I just wanted to comment on a couple. One is I did want to thank Dr. Nemo for reading us into the 12-12-12 program very early on. That was very helpful and appreciated. And I think we all agree that we need to expand opportunities for our underserved students throughout the many, many districts that we serve, and it was very nice to see the superintendents here this evening in support of that. One of the key, obviously the key in all of these things is always collaboration through the key stakeholders, and having them here tonight was a very good, very important step. So thank you for that. Let's see. I do want to, two of our members are actually going to be, you'll be, I assume you'll be accepting their retirements unless you're just going to refuse to allow them to retire, which I hope doesn't happen this evening. And since I won't likely be at the December meeting because you meet during lunch and I have a final at that point, I did want to say that Bill Yarrow in the English department and Nancy DeRoss in the natural sciences areas are going to be retiring. They've been wonderful faculty. Bill, in fact, has had an office across from me for several years and was it helped me an awful lot when I first got here. And Nancy's just a wonderful lady. And so I do want to say we will miss them. Let's see. Discover JJC this weekend. I thought it was really nice to see all those students in the hallways and parents in the hallways and the excitement again. We had one in the spring, but this was, I think, a step above that. And one of the things that I've loved walking up and down the hallways in the last several months is just seeing students in the hallways, talking, collaborating, meeting in groups, and it's really nice to see. And I think the other thing that I've noticed is that, and this, I don't know if statistics bear this out, but I think many more students are looking at getting involved in student activities, especially clubs and organizations. And that is, as I always tell my students, if you want to enjoy college, get involved in those things. I says, and suddenly the 4 years will go like that. And so hopefully that's I believe that is starting to happen with a lot of these students who, as we know, missed 2 years of in many ways of those sorts of things. Okay, and other than that, I was going to make a big speech about other things, but I've chosen to put a ribbon on it, as we like to say. Thank you. Oh, I do want to say I will not be here next month. I do want to wish you all a happy Thanksgiving, of course. And if I don't run into you between now and the holidays, happy holidays, and for you and your families. Thank you.
And Bob?
Yes,
Dr.
Bob.
I'd like to say congratulations on being reelected for your leadership in the union. We're very proud to work with you. We enjoy working with you, and I'm sure all of them do too. So congratulations on your leadership role.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I don't know what to say. I appreciate it.
You're blushing. You're blushing.
Thank you, Dr. Bob. Ms. Laurel, Adjunct Faculty Union Report. How's it going?
It's going well.
Good.
So I wasn't here last month. It's nice to see you again. Semester is flying by. We're like a month from final exams. And I come in tonight and see this table arrangement with no sharp corners, which is much more welcoming, I think, and collegial. And so in that spirit, I also sit and listen to all of this about the enrollment efforts and that's really energizing to listen to all the different efforts that are being made to bring in students from different backgrounds and different age groups and so on. We're obviously doing a great job partnering with the high school districts and bringing in our younger students. We still have a little work to do bringing back some of the older students. I know a couple years ago, pre-pandemic, I had a student in one of my evening chemistry classes who was working at a chemical plant, and he needed to take some college classes to move up in his job. And so things partnering with community employers and businesses might be a way to bring back some of those students. But just listening to the conversation and being part of this effort is just very exciting and very energizing. I also won't be here in December because our final exam is that day. And so I will be here doing that. And so I want to wish all of you a very happy Thanksgiving, safe and happy holidays, and best of everything. So thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, 1.3, approval of the minutes of the regular monthly meeting, October 12th, 2022.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
I have a correction that needs to be made, though, under 1.2.3, and I'd like Carl also to look at it, our attorney. In regards to Trustee Morales asked if we were asking for an increase in tax, and Mr. Heap answered yes. However, that should be put in there, that Attorney Buck explained the future detail on how tax laws work, and I had mentioned that our tax rate would still be the same as was indicated on the sheet, that the tax increase would come from increased valuation of the home if that's what came. Correct, Carl?
I don't remember the exact
I mentioned
verbatim, but
I did mention
board, if they want to accept that amendment, I'd have to go back and listen to the tape. I don't remember it exactly. I'm not arguing with you. I just don't remember.
No. But to put in here simply answered yes, and if someone just reads these minutes, they're going to say, well, yeah, it's increasing. Well, it's increasing, however, not by us, because our tax rate's going to stay the same from what we showed on the sheet. And if the house has a value increase due to the increased values that have come over the last years, then that's not on our control. It's in the homeowner's concern that they would have to then go and protest their valuation. But it's not where we're increasing, because we have to improve the tax levy that's on here tonight. And I want this to be sure that we're not doing the increase to taxation to our taxpayers.
As I recall, that was brought out.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I think the key point is that the amount of the levy goes up, but the actual cost to the individual taxpayer went down based on the EAV. I think that was the import of it. So it's not, even though our levy goes up, it's not costing our taxpayers any more money because of the way the EAV works. I think that was the critical point.
Exactly. And I just don't want it to read as yes, because that is indicative that when we vote yes on our tax levy, that we're saying, yeah, we're increasing your taxes. No, we're not. We're very prudent and very fiscal responsible on what we're doing, the 8 of us here. So I think that we need to put that in the verbiage in this to amend it, to include the correct verbiage that I've stated.
So I think I should withdraw my motion to approve.
Oh, it's just a motion. You can just amend the motion. It's an approval of the minutes, so it's a little bit.
Right.
If the board accepts the amendment as proposed by Trustee Broderick, then the motion would be as amended. And
Okay.
Right.
So I make a motion to approve as amended, and then we need a second.
We have a second? Or a third?
Yep.
Trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Stemborski.
Yes.
Trustee Broderick.
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski.
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik.
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell.
Yes.
Thank you. You are correct, Trustee Broderick, on that. And that could be misleading.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm very watchful.
All right, we all got that now. Okay. 1.4, approval of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
All right, from here, I'd like for Kelly to say, to call the motion, and because we have a new helper here, so as we go through, let them
For the
this
voice
out.
vote?
Yeah, for the voice vote.
For the voice
So
vote, okay.
so would we do this? Okay, so Kelly, you'll have a motion.
We have a motion. We have a
Okay.
second.
We have
All
a
in
motion.
favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. 1.5, approval of the consent agenda.
Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Second.
Thank you.
I'd like to set aside an item, please.
Yep.
Yes.
Kelly's gonna.
I'd like to set aside item 4.2.2.
Okay.
4.2. Okay, I do have some items to pull too. 3.2.9, 3.2.1, 5.1, and I do have some discussion on the questions that were answered. Did all of you guys get the response of the questions that were answered, that Dr. Namuo answered for us?
Yes.
Okay, hold on. A lot of those questions, of course, came from me, and I just want to make sure that you understand that I don't pull these items because I want them definitely explained on why I answered them. So I was concerned about a lot of issues, especially with the one bid that we had for item 3.2.6. Thank you for adding all of the companies that did respond so we'd know what you were doing. That was great because I think we should see what you're looking at as the committee. And then in response to, where is it at? Agenda preparation, oops. Partnerships on the childcare. I had questions about that because we used to do that. We used to hold the childcare. Now we have several partnerships. However, after being in attendance at the conference at the community college that both Kelly and I attended, we found out how successful it is. And it gave more hours, and the foundation, it was under the foundation that also had the ability to get grants and sponsorships of donors and that to it, that made childcare for our students a lot more accessible, so that even if they were students at night, they'd accommodate the students. And I know that it says we have so many of only 16 families. They have over 200 families that we saw at the community college we were at, and they said it's because they opened up the types of needs that they had. And I thought it was very beneficial. We had it before. I know we have several partnerships that I talked to Dr. Farmer about, but I think something like this should be investigated further. And I did bring that to Dr. Namuo's attention, so he said yes. But I wanted you all to know that when looking at the bills and looking at what we're doing and seeing what the cost factors were, and the fact that at the Manhattan Community College, they were offering it to free for the students as well as the employees, which I thought was great. It's an advantage to extend enrollment so that more can have, because we know that taking care of children is a big cost. But if we can fund that, I think that's something that's beneficial to the college. So that's why I brought that up, and I thank you for sharing all of this with us. And I'm glad that all of you read this, because I think having this opportunity, and I'll give you a compliment on this, I think by opening us up to see what's in the packet on Friday and him taking the time individually to talk to us really opens our eyes to things that we're concerned about. And I know Josh, he even watches and looks at everything because he says, I want to be informed, I want to know what's happening. So that's good. So thank you for doing that, Dr. Namuo. And thank you for that, Dan, for letting me.
Okay. All right. Trustee Budzinski, you had the 4.2.
Mr. Chairman, first we got to take a vote on the overall consent agenda.
Okay, all right. Then,
Do I have a motion to approve?
We already had it.
Yeah, motion was Michelle Lee,
Okay.
Nancy Garcia
Right.
seconded, and then we pulled a bunch of items.
So do that, okay.
All right.
Okay. Trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Stemborski,
Aye.
trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski,
Yes.
trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee O'Connell.
Yes. All right.
Just to keep them in order, Mr. Chairman, I know different trustees call different things. The first one in order would be 3.2.1.
3.2.1. That's been covered, right?
That was pulled.
was pulled by me.
Trustee Broderick, so you need a motion in a second.
May I have a motion?
Second.
Yes. So moved.
Garcia.
Second.
I'm going to ask that this be tabled because there are some concerns that I have, and I'd like to address it back to the bidding company. And I don't want to state publicly because I think that these things should be addressed to the committee. And since it's fertilization and weed control and we're in fall and winter, I think we could table this so that we can talk so that I can share my concerns with the committee.
All right.
Are we on a time control to have this? Is this our contract that we need to, that there's any urgency on this?
I don't think.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any urgency on it. I think that inflation has gone up. So I mean, this is only going to go up in cost over years if you table it any longer, I believe. So I think they're just trying to jump onto it to start and get the lowest price possible. So is there? What was your concerns on it, Maureen?
I'm not going to mention what it
I
is.
think there was a concern about, this is one of those deals where, just to remind the board, that when you bid something out, you have to take the lowest responsible bidder, and part of the responsibleness of a bidder is qualifications. And I think there's a question that the trustee has with respect to the qualification of the lowest bidder and whether or not that would be appropriate. So it would be appropriate to table it to the next board meeting so that she can investigate that with the president. And Nancy Garcia made the motion, so if she amends her motion to table 3.2.1, it would be tabled to the next meeting.
I have no problem tabling it. Like you said, there's no urgency on this now. Prices will just go up a little bit, but that's the world we live in nowadays. I pay more just like everyone else. So
Right.
And I can go ahead and amend my motion so that way we can go ahead and do a little bit more research and do what we need to do to bring it back up next month.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
All right.
We need a vote on that, Mr. Chair.
Trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Stemborski, trustee Broderick,
Aye.
trustee Budzinski,
Yes.
trustee O'Connell.
Yes. So 3.2.6.
No, it was 9. 9.
9?
Yep.
Okay, not 6.
Yep.
All right. 2.9. 3.2.9. Johnson Controls.
May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, this is the reason I brought it up. When I am looking at the purpose of the sole source is to replace the heat pump controls in a building. But when you go further down, it says to replace the heat pump too. I think this needs to be amended to say heat pump controls as well as heat pump, because $78,000 to do controls does not make sense to me. If it's the heat pump and the controls, that does make sense. So I think it needs to be amended to add the heat pump and the heat pump controls to be inclusive.
I agree with that.
I think that makes sense to Jake, doesn't it?
I overlooked that one, so sorry about that.
That's okay.
I appreciate you bringing that up because it does seem a little fishy for just the control.
Well, if it's heat pump controls and it's $78,000, I'm a little bit confused on that much for controls.
Thanks for bringing that one to our attention. I just read the summary and I just knew it was all included, so I didn't read just the tagline. So
Well, when I read it and I was looking at the dollar amount and I'm like, heat pump controls don't cost that much. And I'm sitting there and if it's the heat pump, then we need the heat pump added to the purpose.
sounds good.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to look into that.
We're gonna. Who made the motion for that one?
I did, so just motion to amend
Motion to
as
amend
Maureen
it
has
as
requested.
Per Maureen, yes.
Thank you.
Trustee Lee,
Yes.
trustee Mahalik,
Yes.
trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Stemborski. Aye. Trustee Broderick.
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski.
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen.
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell.
Yes. We're down to 4.1.
I believe Chairman is 4.2.
2.2.
4.2.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The new ideas.
All right.
Trustee.
So,
May I call for a motion?
I will make the motion.
Second.
Mr. Chairperson, I set this aside so that I could abstain from the vote due to a conflict of interest with my private job.
thank you.
So we make a,
Go ahead.
Trustee Mahalik.
yes.
Trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Stemborski.
Aye.
Trustee Broderick.
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski.
Abstain?
Trustee Garcia Guillen.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell.
Yes. All right. We've covered everything else
No,
except,
5.1.
sorry?
5.1. That's considered in the agenda, consent agenda.
The dual credit. Yep.
Uh-huh. Okay. You want to do that now? Okay.
May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
I brought it out for the reason of, we had a great presentation tonight by Dr. Namuo, the 12 cubed.
Oh, Trustee Mahalik.
I liked what he said, but 12 by 12 by 12, I'll throw that back in. I think it's great, but I think the community needs to see that we've all enraptured and captured his idea of working with the superintendents, and shouldn't be under the consent agenda. It should be so that all of us can show our support, because I think there is going to be a good support, and that's why I'm pulling it, so that the community can see our support as trustees to our president's position on this 12 by 12 by 12 program of dual credit. Thank you.
As long as it's modified to 12.
Carl, don't.
You're not going to be able to walk through that door.
Or not amending the motion, right?
We're not amending anything.
12 by 12 by 12 sounds good to me.
We're good on that.
Change everything.
Trustee Broderick.
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski.
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik.
Yes.
Trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Stavorsky. Trustee O'Connell.
Yes. All right. 3.5, Board of Trustees approval of 2022 tax levy. In the meantime, we're going to have a motion to suspend rules temporarily to allow for public comment on the tax levy.
So moved.
Second.
Do we have any public comments? 3.
Got to take a roll call vote on that, Mr. Chair.
Okay.
Trustee Broderick.
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski.
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik.
Yes.
Trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Stemborski.
Aye.
Trustee O'Connell.
Yes. So with that, then we return to regular session
Got to call out for public comment.
after we, okay, yeah. I thought I had done that.
I know.
Call-
a
Any
little
public
goofy.
comments then? Then if we have no public comments, then we'll, on 3.5.5, we'll ask for a return to regular session.
So moved.
Second.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Trustee Broderick.
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski.
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik.
Yes.
Trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Stemborski. Trustee O'Connell.
Yes. So now we have to do the Board of Trustees approval of the tax levy.
Do I have a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Got to do a
We
roll
have
call.
to-
Okay, all right, okay.
Roll call on that one, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Spending money.
Okay. Trustee Garcia Guillen.
Yes.
Trustee Lee.
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik.
Yes.
Trustee Morales.
Yes.
Trustee Stemborski.
Aye.
Trustee Broderick.
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski.
Yes.
Trustee O'Connell.
Yes. All right. 6.1, reports.
We need new business. old
I'm-
business.
Yeah.
4.1.
4.1.
Well, I gotta get to my notes anyways.
Oh, now we go back to
There you are.
4.1. Okay.
So.
That's right.
Just as a brief overview of the policies that we'll be going through next month. The trustee code of conduct outlines the responsibilities of the board. Officers of the board duties outline the duties of the officers of the board. Board requests for information outlines the process and stresses the importance that the request should be for board decision-making processes. The agenda preparation outlines the process for agenda preparation. The citizens' addition to board meetings and agenda outlines the process for citizens' request to additions to the board meeting agenda. The use of unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs or drones, outlines the use of UAVs or drones on campus. The Clery Act compliance is the one I'm just going to the Clery Act compliance is about the Crime Awareness and Campus Safety Act of 1990. It is a consumer report law requiring all colleges and universities who receive federal funding to share information about crime on campus and their effects to improve campus safety, as well as inform the public of crime in and around campus. I just felt like it was easiest to read that. And the clear and present danger reporting is the purpose of this is to document mandated reporting requirements within the Illinois Firearm Concealed and Carry Act.
Can I add some things in your thing? I had some concerns on the officer's duties, the vice chair specifically. It's 4.1.2. It's still not spelling out that the chairperson, that the vice should be in attendance with the vice, because if the chair, should something happen to the chair, the vice should be allowed to be involved in the communication, because, and I'll give this as an example, the one time it took me half a day to catch up on when something happened to our chair, and I had to go back and keep asking for resource information. If I was included in conversations, with the vice chair, I'll say, was included in conversations and knowing what was going on at all times, then it would facilitate the position of transfer of the meeting, so we wouldn't have to either cancel it or we'd have to go in long dialogue to catch up. And that's why I'm asking that the vice be included. And this I brought back a couple months ago that asked specifically on this again, and it was brought back last year when Dr. Mitchell was, that's why this has been brought up several times.
I hear your concerns and I appreciate them. I'm going to quickly read the vice chair position. The vice chairperson shall temporarily assume the duties and functions of the chairperson and shall have the same powers as the chairperson in their absence or inability to act as the chairperson of the board. Chairman O'Connell, has only missed 1 or 2 meetings. I was going to say, I believe it might have been 2 over the past 2 years. I understand that's not something that happens all of the time, and I feel like it's going to put the policy committee, as well as those that work at the college that are in the policy committee with us, have gone back and forth with Carl on this, and the ultimate decision is that we feel like it puts undue stress on that relationship between the president and the chair when it's not something that happens all of the time. And I understand you had to take half of a day and catch up, but as the vice chair, that is something that when you're sitting in that position, you may have to do. I'm going to ask Carl to speak a little bit more if he would like to. He explained it really well to me, so I'm going to ask him to explain it how he explained it in case I didn't do a good enough job.
Well, the purpose of this policy is to effectuate the concept of Robert's rules and the chain of command. And, you know, the president and this board has done a very good job of, you know, staying at a policy level, decision-making authority and whatnot. And so the president has to interface with the chairman, and the chairman is supposed to interface with the board. So this is a minimum. The vice chair can always be present for meetings if invited or if the chair so desires. But this is keeping the line of communication directly between the president and the chair, and so that the president isn't in a situation where he needs to communicate information, and because he can't get the chair and the vice chair together at the same time, he can't communicate that information. So it aligns with HLC and what we learned from HLC about what, you know, model policies are supposed to look like. It aligns with Robert's rules. It's a minimum, not a maximum. So if the vice chair wants to be part of those things or be included in those things, that's fine. But it really obligates the chairperson and the vice chair and the secretary to work together, but it creates a direct line between the president and the chair, so the president can share information with the chair in a timely manner. Then it's the chair's responsibility to then share that information with the rest of the board.
I think it's really important when you're making policies or laws or anything to really take into consideration what Carl is saying, and that, you know, you don't want to put everything in writing in too many specifics to where it is putting too much demand. And I think we have a problem with that in Illinois in general, where we have so much on the books that you have to cite this law and go to this code and this and back and forth. And I just want to keep things as simple as possible. So, you know, the duties of the chair are in here, you know, and it is his duty, if he is going to be not there, to communicate with you. And I would hope that they do that.
The problem is, and I'm going to bring this back to both of you, the problem is if you are given short notice, as I have been, it's either that I could cancel the meeting or go and do the research.
Well, we all went through that, Maureen. And
right, but I'm
Dana
just,
asked us if we
listen
wanted
to me though,
reschedule it.
please,
It was one time.
please. If you want the vice chair to know what's going on, it's appropriate to have communication from the chair to the vice, as I had before with Mr. Wunderlich. I'm asking for that same communication to be given so that there's no, all of a sudden, I've got to be put into the chair position, because that's what it is. It's all of a sudden, I don't know what was going on. Dr. Mitchell had to spend a lot of time with me doing catch-up, getting things that I needed to be brought up. I had a lot of questions. If you think I don't have a lot of questions when I go through it with Dr. Namuo, I do. I mean, he and I can sit there for over an hour going through the board book on things that I'm looking at. I just think it's an act of good communication. It's not where anybody's going to be trying to do any relationship damaging. It's more of a rebuild to make sure that we're all on the same page.
So why can't you guys just talk about it and not have to put it in the policy?
Yeah,
It's happened one time.
Right.
This
Twice.
happened one time.
Twice it's happened.
No, it happened one time.
Okay, can I-
Before we all knew that was what was coming. You know, it's not like that was one. We're talking about one time when I was in the hospital. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
With all due respect, I don't think that we need to get into your personal business. And I think that we have worked hard on the policy committee and we have expressed our views to the board. And if it's okay, I'd like to take the motion to move on with voting on
I'd like
this.
to make a motion to move on and vote on it. I need a second.
Well, that was one discussion. I don't think there was a need for a motion. This is what she's discussing.
Yeah, this is at first read, so this would
Right,
be
this is
first reading.
It would be on next month.
Well, with all due respect, I think we can move on and go on to next month.
Yes.
Well, I have another question on one of the other ones. Agenda preparation 4.14.
Mm-hmm.
When you get to the agenda preparation, it says, during the new business portion of the Board of Trustees meeting, any trustee may request an item. Where is it set in the section that adjusts trustees to be able to? All I see is new business first reading and second reading. I don't see any opportunity for that to be brought into this. So I think
It
this
says
agenda needs to be revised to add something to this. Otherwise, this policy makes no sense to add it, because I don't see anything in there that allows the trustee to enter into a comment that they want things brought up on the agenda for the next meeting. There's no open area for trustee comments, which would fall under this category.
That's new business. That's the concept of new business. So under the new business, and this, we went back and we looked at, we called the ICCB and we did a lot of work to try and check on what was required, because there were several things in the agenda over the years that have just been carried on from the past that are no longer required. And so the recommendation was that under new business, when you get to that on your agenda, if there's something that you want on the agenda for the next month, you notify the chair at that time and you say, hey, I'd like to have a discussion, whether it's a business report, whether it's an action item, whether it's revisiting something, whatever it is. And then the chair has the ability to discuss that with the board at that moment, and then make a decision on putting that on there. And Trustee Broderick, we'll go back to, and this, you'll probably remember this from some years ago, where one of the problems that the president was having, and that the cabinet and the staff were having, was that individual trustees were outside of the meeting requesting that things be put on the agenda, and they were getting put on there, and they were, whether it was certain months being recognized and things of that nature. And so this is the process by which it comes up in new business. You have the chance to talk about it at that time, and then get some clear the staff has a chance to get some clear direction on it.
And I fully understand that, but I'm saying, Carl, there's no place on this that says any of what you just said to go to the chair, or to go, there's no spot on the agenda.
Yeah, it says during new
here,
business.
During new business.
Portion
agenda
of the
request by a trustee.
board trust meeting.
And the very first sentence, during new business portion of the board, a trustee meeting, any trustee may request that an item be placed on the future board agenda for initial consideration by the board. As a board, we are not just one member that runs this board. We all act together. We all make decisions together. So if you want something put on the agenda, you bring it up in new business, and we all discuss whether or not we feel that that's a good thing to be put on the agenda.
You guys are all missing my point then. I understand that, but it's the concept of how do you make that request?
In new business, you say, hey,
Okay, where is it on the agenda that says board member can make a comment to request a change or an add addition to the agenda? I don't see it.
This policy is not approved yet. So if
Well, I understand. That's why I'm bringing that back to the attention. We need to have the agenda addressed on here then, because it doesn't show where we can add that.
Well, it would,
Once it's spelled out specifically.
yeah, no, and Trustee Broderick, what I would say is, once the board approves this policy, then if you go to section 4, where right now you have it as new and old business, it would be new business, and there'd be a line item, 4.1.1, trustee concerns.
Okay,
and then anybody that
that's
wants to
all
rate, I mean,
Okay,
but it's not
that's why I'm
approved yet,
bringing
so-
this up, though. That's why I'm
Really
bringing
done.
it up, because I can't read your mind, and that's why I'm spelling out and questioning where it would be, and that's why I'm bringing it up. I'm very detail oriented, as you know, and when I'm looking at this, if this is the policy that's going to come through on the second read, that's going to be already approvable, I want to know where you're going to see an agenda item put on there then that will be specific to this item.
So I think when agenda preparation, Klein, that'll, go to you. You'll make sure that once this is approved, under new items, it'll have 1.1 every time we have a meeting. This will be on the new agenda.
That's all I'm asking for. I'm not asking for you to listen to me and say, I want to make a change now and talk about it. That's not it. I want to make sure we're in the right protocol with the right agenda on it.
I just it says it right there. It's under new business. So I think we were having a miscommunication about what you were asking. And thank you, Jake, for being able to mediate that for us.
Thank you.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Ooh.
I didn't mean to get people upset.
It said it right there. So I was like, I don't understand what your question is. I'm going to read it.
I think I'll start speaking Spanish.
Maybe you'll be able to help.
Maybe Alicia can understand.
Yo no hablo inglés.
Thanks again, Jake.
Thanks, Jake. Jake, thank you.
Don't kill the joke.
All right, now we're down to 6 reports. 6.1, President's
Oh,
report.
that's me. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm just waiting just a second for the presentation to come up. And I know we've got a lot. We've done a lot of business today. So I intend to be concise here, but it is also my opportunity to celebrate both the good work that's being done around the college and the good people who make that work possible. So I've got a few things that I'd like to highlight and share with the board this month. The first is JJC Diversity, Unity, and Community Dinner. So allow me to just kind of share some kudos here. Oh, what an amazing event. What an incredible and amazing event. And I do think Trustee Broderick was dodging the cameras because we couldn't find a single, I think she was dodging the cameras.
I wasn't
but
dodging.
I really appreciate her presence at the Diversity, Unity, and Community Dinner. She's in there somewhere, so we want to appreciate it and acknowledge that. I just want to thank Dr. Farmer, Dr. Irvin, and their teams for such an incredible night, and for our new vice president of student development, and actually all of our cabinet was present at this event. So thank you. I think it sent a very strong message to our community that we're interested in connecting in real and meaningful ways. So just want to offer just a huge congratulations to everyone involved in that event. This past weekend, make sure I got that right, I attended a performance of The Wolves by our JJC Fine Arts Theater Department. So I wanted to highlight their efforts, similar to the way I did last month with The Odd Couple. So over on the right there, in the picture on the left, we've got Brian Fruits, who is the director of this production. And strangely, it's just different, but it was in the event center. It was not in our theater. And the timing of which, so on the left-hand side, you see actually members of our women's soccer team and the cast. They really took on some hard-hitting and some, frankly, heavy topics around mental health, a lot of which we discussed last month. So just want to commend the Fine Arts department and the theater department in particular. I want to take a moment to celebrate our athletics program. My family and I had an opportunity to attend the very first home game for women's basketball under the leadership of Coach Sean Sanderson, and men's basketball, both making their home debut, Coach Danny Turner. So on the left, we've got a bird's eye view of the women's first game against Prairie State. They came up just a little bit short. The men were victorious. The middle picture, our men's cross-country team and women's cross-country team, by the way, over the last 6 years, they've brought back 5 trophies. So, well, this time it wasn't a national championship trophy. It was a third-place trophy, but we're very proud of them. Coach DeGraw, Coach Davila, and all of our coaches in that area. Over on the left, the Danny Turner era has begun. Coach Turner experienced and earned his very first win against Prairie State. So over on the left, you see our athletic director, Greg Braun, gifting him with a ball that I'm assuming has been signed by all of his players. So just want to congratulate Coach Turner. Hopefully this is the first win of many, many, many more to come. And I'm sure you've heard, and the Board of Trustees has been very supportive as we've expanded our athletics program. Was it Wednesday, Dr. Farmer? Okay, we'll see. No, Tuesday. It was just yesterday. So it's a little bit of a blur. We've got a lot going on here, trustees. We've got a lot going on. But I do want to take a minute to acknowledge and celebrate the home debut of our competitive cheer team.
Yay.
Sitting in the giant chair there. So yeah. So we're growing, doing good things, and really thankful. Oh gosh, Chairman, I'm so sorry. This was a total mistake. My highlight reel for open gym with the president should not have been on this. I'm so embarrassed. Oh wait, Chairman, I don't know what's going on.
Basketball. Oh my God, he made a made it.
So,
Right.
Chairman,
we got to work on some defense.
Did you know he's trying out for the basketball
My
team?
apologies, Chairman. How embarrassing. I just want to let Coach Turner know that I've got some eligibility left. And
You could sub in. You could sub in at any time.
thank everyone for showing up for Open Gym with the president on Halloween afternoon.
Yeah, I was surprised.
And we'll get Dr. Farmer out there one of these days.
You'll be a
Shakes her
cheerleader.
head, but I want to acknowledge the Center for Multicultural Access and Success 6th annual celebration of first generation students. I was honored to give some opening remarks, and you see just it was a huge celebration of our first generation students, just an inspirational event, and really thankful for DeAndre Butler and the entire CMOS team for putting this together. There was a festive atmosphere with a DJ in the background, great food, just a really great event overall. And you'll hear more about my family's endowed scholarship for first generation students, but I did share with them our intentions there. I want to acknowledge our HR department under Judy Connolly's leadership. And, we're really interested in fun here at JJC, if you haven't already figured that out. So instead of just having a boring open enrollments period, Judy and her team decided to throw a big party and make us feel special and like VIPs. So just these are some pictures. And the last time, while Jim's not here, I posted a picture on social media of him with the straight face, and he was pretty upset that he looked like my bodyguard. Well, here, just everyone make note of our CIO with a big smile. Cameron's laughing over there in the background. So kudos to Judy and the team for making that just a fun event. And we continue to offer, competitive benefits packages to our employees. And lastly, of course, you've heard it a few times, a great event, the Discover JJC event. You'll see a couple of shots here, and just want to acknowledge Dr. Farmer, VP Valadez, and all of the team for making this event happen. And I believe the number is 500 attendees at Discover JJC last Saturday. So, Chairman, I'll yield back. Thank you for, actually, I've got a few other things. Congrats to all those who participated in the democratic process yesterday on Election Day. I want to acknowledge that.
Huge turnout.
Want to acknowledge that we are closed on Friday in celebration of those who have served our country, all of our veterans, and want to acknowledge Carl Buck as a veteran here. Thank you for your service and appreciate that. Last month, I acknowledged our groundskeepers and made reference to an ice scraper and Stephanie Braun. I'm going to bring out my prop here.
Lots of snow.
You're ready.
I don't know that I know how this works exactly.
Oh, come on.
but
It's got a good ice scraper.
This
There'll be a YouTube video watching.
I know. Well, actually, marketing's developed a whole campaign and dressed me up in all this winter gear, and that was a prop. There'll be a 12 days of something or other coming out, so stay tuned. More on my Instagram channel. Is it a channel or
social media?
Okay, it's a channel. Thank you. We've gone way off here. My point in this is, I try to make it a point to acknowledge our employees who make this place incredible. In this week, this month, I'm choosing to acknowledge our media services staff here. So I just want to give a shout out to Jeff Fisher, under the leadership of Jeff Fisher, Jake, Matt, Cameron, Alejandro, Casey. They make all of this technology happen. They make the streaming happen. So just want to take a moment to acknowledge their good work. Chairman, thank you.
Can I ask one thing?
Oh, no.
Well, Yolanda, Dr. Farmer did a great job with the DEI program.
Yeah.
And you guys had a great video that I thought was well put together. Escortina did a fantastic job.
Yep.
And I think the board should see that, because I think you guys missed a good video of everything that they've done and the things that acclaim what we've done as the DEI, in place. I think it's great. And also there was comments from each of the tables of what to do with DEI, if that could be shared with all of us,
Sure.
because we heard some things we didn't pick up on, sometimes we didn't hear all of it, but it would be nice if all of us could hear or see whatever was presented from all of those groups, because we had 8 tables that gave presentations of concerns. Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may say something real quick, I was not able to go to the diversity, unity, and community dinner, but I talked to some of the student leaders that attended, and they were very excited after coming out of that, and they were able to talk to other people. Well, they were able to talk to other students there. They were able to talk to some administration and faculty, and they just came out of it like super excited. Particularly student government was thrilled about it. So it was an awesome event. Thank you for hosting it.
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Stamborski. They're over there on the left in the picture.
Yeah.
Okay. Chairman, thank you.
All right. Representative to the JJC Foundation. Hello, Amanda.
Hello, everyone. I'm Amanda Quinn. I'm the Assistant Director of Institutional Advancement in the Foundation. Happy to be here tonight and give the report for Christy Mulvey. She's on vacation, so we let people do that every once in a while in our office. So just giving a few updates on the Foundation. The first thing I wanted to share is that the spring application is currently open until November 30th. To date, we have 1,280 applicants in the system. Kelly Baker, our scholarship specialist, is working on connecting with CMOS in the DEI office to make phone calls to students to complete the application. So that scholarship, like I said, application will close November 30th. And then we will get the scholarships on the accounts by mid-January. So that's the update for the spring scholarship. And then the other thing that I want to share, we're preparing for year end. So November, December is really when we solicit alumni, friends, community members for donations to the foundation for scholarships and things like that. So I want to tell you a little bit about some of the things that we're doing. The first thing is this week we were able to mail our endowment report. We have $17 million in endowments in the foundation. So most of those are tied to scholarships. So we were able to send out reports to the donors that shared their endowment activity from the past year. That includes like the principal balance of the account, additional gifts that were added, scholarship payout amounts, and then allocation that was actually allocated for this year that we've already pretty much paid in the fall semester. This year's report highlights one of our high school merit scholarships. I'm sure you've heard a lot about our high school merit scholarships. We were able to highlight Jessica Meza, a Joliet West high school student. So she received that scholarship. The other thing that's going out, actually, I believe by the end of next week, is the year-end appeal, and that is going to 20,000 alumni and friends. This year, Dr. Namuo knows all about this appeal because it highlights him, and it highlights storytelling. So it talks about his story, really, and then it connects him to 6 students that are scholarship recipients at the college. So the appeal that will go out in the mail that many will receive will be his story, and then social media and email will follow up with the student's story. And then as Dr. Numuo said, we're doing some social media stuff, reels that include him using that device, but I'm not sharing too much information, but it's funny. So in December, be on the lookout in social media because you'll get a kick out of it because I did watching it. So that's that. The other thing we're doing is we're excited to host a community event in the foundation. We surveyed our alumni and said, what are you looking for? And they want holiday events and things like that. So we're doing on December 1st, a holiday pop-up walk with Santa and friends. So it's going to be around the event center. And it's going to include a photo with Santa, Mrs. Claus, Wiley the elf, and Santa's sleigh. We also are involving some departments on campus, and the Maker Lab will be there making ornaments. So people will be able to buy those. So we're really excited about that. Again, that's December 1st from 5 to 8 p.m. in and around the event center. And if we are requiring registration because we already have 300 people interested in coming to this, and it's not even mid-November yet. So anyone interested in attending can visit jjc.edu/photowalk. The other thing that we do every year is we have a holiday celebration for our employees where we raise money for scholarships. This year, the scholarship we're raising money for is the Numuo Family Endowed Scholarship for first generation students. So departments will be able to put together baskets and then people can put tickets in them and try to win, and we'll have lunch. That is taking place on Friday, December 9th. And then the very last thing I want to talk to you all about is right now we're accepting nominations for our Distinguished Alumni Achievement Award and Susan H. Wood Hall of Fame Award. And that is actually, we award those at our Night of Stars event where we award the J.D. Ross Award as well. So anyone interested in nominating anyone for either of those awards can go to jjc.edu/alumni, and it's under the Alumni Awards and Nominations on the right-hand side. Any questions for me? Yes?
I have one, or a couple, I should say. In regards to the awards that you just mentioned, has the Distinguished Alumni Award ever been identified with any name to it?
It has not.
Then I'm going to bring that back to the board as what I asked Dr. Namuo about. Being that we have a president emeritus, we have two of them, JD, which we have an award for. Being that Dr. Mitchell was an alumnus, I think it would be in our best interest, and I know Dr. Namuo was very excited when I said that to him, if we identify this as the Dr. Mitchell Distinguished Alumnus Award. I think that would show further support of our emeritus president, since we have two of them, and I think that would be very beneficial to naming that scholarship, or naming that award, since we've never named it. And we do have someone that was a president and alumnus.
Yeah, I'll take this one. So in terms of the process for the J.D. Ross award, can the board help me understand how that came about? Because I believe that's at the board level.
I don't know if anyone was on this board at that time, because that was done way before any of us, and I'm the oldest one. Oldest term, and I don't think Dan knows because he's an older standing one too.
I would ask Kelly. Kelly may know.
Thank you. We'll want to use the same process.
Yeah, no, absolutely. From what I understand, the college has had a community service award actually since the 1970s, and it was at the time of J.D. Ross's retirement that this board, I believe it was 2006, decided to rename the award.
Which we have the opportunity then to do it for this one, if I'm not mistaken, from what my research was. Since it's been unnamed, we can name it.
Yeah, my interest really is to use the exact same process.
Right. So if that be the case, since it's not on the agenda yet, could we add that to the December so the board can support that, so that when the award is made or it's identified, it can be identified as the Dr. Judy Mitchell Emeritus Distinguished Award?
I don't have a problem with that.
So I think that'd be a great way to honor Judy, but I want to focus on the process. So I'm just looking to Carl maybe for some guidance in terms of procedure.
Yeah, you have a policy that talks about awards and recognitions, and so what I would suggest to the board is give Dr. Namuo a chance and I to go through that and just make sure that we follow the policy correctly, because you do have a policy for resolutions, awards, all those kinds of things, and that would probably fall underneath that policy. And if it's right, then we'll get it on the agenda. If we have to go through a different process, then we'll notify you what that process is.
That's fine. I'm just bringing it up because I think that would be something that would be very, very nice, and I think it would show good collaboration with this board, since she did work with us as the president for 6 years. And then I'm going to ask you one more thing too, or two more things, pardon me. Have you guys ever thought of breakfast with Santa? Because all of us that have grandchildren love to have breakfast with Santa, and that seems to be a big thing, to find places that have breakfast with Santa, and the event center seems to be huge, or even here in. Yeah, I mean, we grandmas like that stuff. So.
Yeah, we have had those conversations. We wanted to try something different with this and the photos with Santa, because we have Hank, who is our photographer on campus, who does an amazing job. We're actually going to have hot chocolate and different treats there that evening. So we are definitely open to expanding it in any way, shape, or form.
Just throwing that idea out.
Yes.
And then you said you had all the alumni, or that you sent out to over 2,000 for these for the scholarship money, or for
20,000 alumni and friends receive our appeal.
So do you do anything? Because I know people like to all of a sudden squeeze whatever they can in by the end of the year, because
Yes.
I'm one of those that does that.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any opportunity for people to get in contact with you? Because aren't we closed during Christmas to New Year's?
Yes. So
how do we handle that? Is anything online or calling or availability?
yeah, individuals can give online at jjc.edu/give to JJC. Sorry, I had to put that in there. But we put information on all of our phones, and we do stay connected via email to be able to check any of that information. We work with our accountants once we get back to make sure we get the gifts in for year end, so we're able to do that. So anyone looking to make a gift before December 31st is up. We work with them to do that. Yes.
Well, good. I'm glad that you guys extend yourselves to
Yes.
do that.
And I'd offer as well that the foundation does a great job of like one-on-one outreach and phone calls and just kind of staying connected to the donors in that way. So
Yep. Yep. Yeah, they have our phone number if they want to get a hold of us.
Right. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
Any
you,
other
Amanda.
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, representative to the ICCTA, ACCT.
Thank you. All right, what I'm going to mention is this Friday and this Saturday is the ICCTA quarterly meeting. The roundtable is on Friday at 9:30 to 11:30, which is really good. And I know you guys all have spoken, or some of you have spoken to Dr. Namuo about me cutting down my report time. So if you'd like to see me cut it down, come to these things, because then I wouldn't have to report back to all of you. And it's really good because you get to listen to all of the colleges that are there. There's over 50 representatives, and anyone besides the delegate can come. And if you need to get in attendance, either Kelly or Karen can handle that. Karen now. But I think it's great. It's in Downers Grove. It's a wonderful time. Can you put that in email to all of them again if they want to go, so they can have that tomorrow? But I really think, because is anyone registered besides myself and Dr. Namuo?
Quick question: is there any way you can video watch it online rather than come to them?
You know what? I wish they had that capability. I'm going to be bringing that up to them as one of the concerns that I have, because then all of you could be watching it. So I will bring that up, but currently no. But it's really good, and that's why I bring you back what the 3 questions that we get through are, and the comments, because I think that's really good to gravitate to see what we're doing, what they're doing, and what the exposure everyone has to concerns. So I'm mentioning that. And I don't really have anything other than I'm going to move on to the reports for the conference that we had. And I want to say this, that I was happy to say that in the national conference that we had in New York City on 10/26 to 10/29, our attendees were Dr. Namuo, Chair O'Connell, Trustee Morales, Student Trustee Josh Stomborski, Attorney Carl Buck, and myself, Vice Chair Broderick. And with that, each of us, according to our policy, and I know you guys all have the policy, which is 1.40.00.01, that we need to report, or we should report what we did. So I'm going to start with Dr. Namuo, because he's going to give us the beginning of some highlights of the opening conference and the luncheon special speaker that we had. And then we'll proceed with Chair O'Connell, then Trustee Morales, then Trustee Zamborski, and then I will conclude.
Trustee Broderick, thank you so much. I appreciated the opportunity to engage with the trustees, and there was a lot of learning that happened in New York, and appreciate that all of you attended different sessions and are interested in bringing some of that back here to inform what we do at the college. So really appreciate that. I think the opening session was great. It's a topic that affects every single institution. It's one that will affect JJC directly next fall, and that's, of course, accreditation. And the message from the accreditors, so the 6 different accrediting bodies, regional accrediting bodies, were represented, including ours, the Higher Learning Commission, of which I'm a peer reviewer and actively involved, sent a really strong message that they are attempting to change the tenor, maybe, of accreditation as less punitive and more helpful. And I've seen that with the Higher Learning Commission as well. So hopefully that will impact, and we'll actually see that with our visit coming up next fall. So thankful to hear from the leadership of each one of those 6 accrediting bodies. The one I think Trustee Broderick's referring to that she knows I'm most excited about was the keynote on the Friday. I don't recall the exact date, but it was a gentleman named Arthur Levine, or Art Levine. And so if you look up Art Levine, he's a renowned scholar in higher education. And he was really there to talk about his book called The Great Upheaval, which, I'm reading your minds, we've already ordered the trustees copies of The Great Upheaval. And I've had conversations with multiple trustees about the message that he's sharing. And it's really less of an obsession on the process, semester by semester, credits, degrees, and more on the outcomes. And that was his very strong message that he shared with us. That's the central theme of his book. So thrilled that we had an audience with Art Levine, and would encourage all of you just to take a look at what he has to offer. So thank you for the opportunity. Sure.
Chair O'Connell.
Well, we started out with the Chair Academy, and listened to that. We went through the legal issues, both sessions of the legal issues, because you want to get those hours in, because Carl and I get credit for that continuing legal education. We probably should all be reported to us, in writing, so we can have that at home and read it whenever you're having trouble sleeping at night. And as sometimes I do. On the Monday and Wednesday session, I met with Becky Lehman, and she was one of the presenters there for equitable access to care, addressing the urgency, student mental health, and basic needs. And Becky Lehman is she's related to somebody from JJC from here. And anyway, I met her, said hello. And so one of our teachers here is I think it's Sue Blackburn. She's and that's her sister. So she gave a presentation there. It was something that was it was interesting, and it was well, to put it like this, is like there's been, according to their statistics, it's been more than 70% of students, all told, all the community colleges have, and they put this together. 70% of those college students have thought about, since COVID hit, thought about quitting, or had ideas of committing suicide. So it's 70%. It's kind of a heavy thing to ask everybody to deal with. It's like something that you don't want to talk about. You don't want to hear, but we have to. There was on a little higher note, there's a community college. Again, there was a community college roundtable. There was also Trustee Morales and I both did in the which one? It was the North Carolina report, and that was interesting. And there were several others. I'm looking for the one that improving system-wide. I want to mention, besides there were several that were good to listen to, but and I'm searching for one that I want to bring up. Enrolling adult learners in community college in North Carolina. That's the one that you talked about, and lastly, lastly was farming for hunger, growing more than food, and this is at Maureen Murphy was the presenter there. This is in the college in for 4 hunger. They actually had people who were enrolled there, and they were working at the school, and the people working there were also working with prisoners, people who were convicted prisoners, and they were working there. As I recall, Mrs. One of our presenters, Maureen Murphy, said that she was not very excited about going through this, but it did happen, and it's been very beneficial. She proved herself wrong in all this. This is the College of Southern Maryland, and they were as far as the opioid crisis and stuff like this. These people were working. Well, they were going to prison, so they had to do something, So they were working here, and they had a very positive impact, and especially on the students that were working there. Yeah. So it was a good time was had by all, and including the dead rabbits.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Dan. Trustee Morales?
Sure. So there were several workshops. I think I alluded to a couple of them today during Dean Morris's enrollment presentation, because ultimately that's why most of us go to these conferences, to learn, to bring information back. Sometimes in the past, I've been here 8 years, and I feel like some of the information trustees bring back falls on deaf ears, honestly. I really need us as a first community college in the United States of America to change our culture and have us work with an act of urgency. This is urgent. We already had a pandemic. We are in crisis mode. We need to work on changing our culture. So one of the other workshops that I'm saving to present now, and that I thought was really interesting, and the reason it was interesting to me is because the person that gave the presentation, she's an alumni of JJC, and she used to work at our city center campus. And here she is giving a wonderful presentation for Elgin Community College. I'm like, you need to come back and give it here. But anyhow, so I sent Dr. Farmer the cards of the dean and the advisor, so she has that to reach out to her maybe and touch base. But so in either case, the session name was Providing Equitable Access to 4-Year Education Degree Completion on a Community College Campus. And this was through Elgin Community College, which is a Hispanic serving institution. So ECC identified a district problem in their local area. They found that there was a teacher shortage. Hello, everybody's dealing with that right now. So I think it was like 198 jobs that are available in their local area. So their district schools consistently reported challenges finding qualified bilingual teachers, and some shared barriers were districts need qualified teachers, college students want to become teachers, and yet they want to remain local too. they need, for equitable access was they identified cost and location has prevented students from addressing these district needs. They created a partnership by addressing students' needs, ensuring it serves the community and it has equitable access and is not dependent on outside funding, and also gives the students a sense of community. They created a Grow Your Own cohort. Many Grow Your Own programs lack access to local completion options, and this is an equity gap. They had to rethink this process and provide a path options from start to finish. So what they did is they identified a 4-year partner based on where Elgin Community College students transfer most often, which is NIU. They reviewed existing degree completion options and also the limitations. And I think that's what we need to look at is what are the limitations? So the first barrier they identified university collaboration was improved course alignment, include a 2+2s that meet licensure requirements, and improve equitable access. And the second barrier was access to resources, which required collaboration at ECC, revised processes, they had to revise them from the library, technology use, student IDs, and childcare, which I think Trustee Broderick touched on earlier today too. The collaborations among local school districts involved in-district student teaching with multiple schools, alignment with both community college and university, and the impact was access to a qualified pool of students. The program delivery, the cohort approach is part-time option while at ECC student, yet full-time cohort delivery as an NIU student at ECC. The first 2 years at ECC involved collaboration, and you're going to hear that word a lot, collaboration, from faculty. I'm going to repeat that. Collaboration from faculty, advisors, and deans. Continued access to student success team. Students continue to have access to other transfer options. In terms of persistence, there was a 100% graduation rate. Students earned a BS ELED degree with ESL or bilingual endorsement. Most are working locally now. There were 4 cohorts totaling 68 students. There were 4 small groups between 13 and 20 students each. Out of those 68 students, 45 of those students were from underrepresented backgrounds, and all 68 graduated. So it's 100% graduation. And the points of emphasis of their program is that this is not a grant-funded program, because when grant dollars run out, the program ends. Cohort after ECC is full-time only. The process revision across ECC, there's university collaboration. The culture is 100% student-centered, and ECC acts with a sense of urgency. They put a slide on the screen, and we can ask them to send us the PowerPoint presentation, but it said why teacher diversity matters. Having a diverse teacher workforce connects cultures, sets high expectations, and reduces implicit bias. A diverse teacher workforce not only supports a student's academic and social and emotional outcomes, it can lead classroom students to consider becoming educators themselves. After this workshop was over, I approached the young lady that gave it, because I was actually her financial aid advisor when she started her career here at JJC. And so I was really happy to see Miss Elizabeth there, and I was very proud of her. And she mentioned how she said the culture at ECC, she said she gets goosebumps just being able to work at a school like that really embraces all students, and they're open-minded for. Sometimes in departments, we work in different little silos. And I know that because I worked here and I felt that back in 25 years ago. But I know we're changing, and I know it's getting much better. So if we learn how to collaborate and stop working in silos to really, really being, student-centered and acting with a sense of urgency, that was my biggest takeaway from going to this conference, because that was the theme. Not only improving the students' life, but their entire families. I think that was the theme. Improving the lives of entire families was what this whole conference and all the workshops were centered around. And to see local schools from the Midwest like Waubonsie presenting, they're doing an amazing job, and ECC, I kind of felt left out. But I know that that's an opportunity for us to come back and share these ideas, and hopefully, we change the status quo and we start moving forward in a more aggressive path to changing the lives of our student and their entire family. So thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Morales. Trustee Zamborski.
All right. Sorry, I have a cold. So I'm going to list off a couple of the sessions that I went to, but you're going to probably be like, okay, why'd you go to that session? That doesn't make any sense. my general philosophy for the conference was I don't want to see a single other trustee that I know the entire session, because I want to make sure I'm covering ground they're not. That was my general go into it. So you're gonna look at some of these and be like, why did you go to that one? That was why. So for the first session was the new trustee, and also a couple of these I have a lot more about to say about than others, so I might kind of gloss over a couple. So I think the only session I saw another trustee in was Trustee Morales for the equitable access to 4 years. So I'll gloss over that one. But so the first one I went to was the new trustee session. It was just mostly general information that's pertinent to have for new trustees. There were a bunch of student trustees in the room. That was the first chance I got to talk to them. And it was really, the recommendation was attend as many sessions as you can get away with, or as humanly possible, because there's a lot of good information in there, and take notes. So I have a absolutely insane amount of notes. I probably have about 17 or 18 pages worth of notes from the conference. So take as many notes as you can, because that they're helpful. Opening general session. So general session was, again, very, very interesting. I liked hearing about, I thought it was super interesting as they framed the role of the Board of Trustees to act as a single board in executing matters of the college. So the board is one operating body, and it should speak as a single operating body. And during there was a discussion. There was like a discussion panel that they have, if you recall. And that was one of the topics they kind of juggled with, is that, hey, look, the board needs to act as a single unified body. You can't, you have to be careful not to splinter off the voice, because you want to best serve the students. And a unified voice is the best way to do that. So that's what you have to do. So I thought that was very interesting. And then the next one was building strong partnerships through board assessment. So again, board assessment, where it's very necessary to understand, like dynamics that occur on the Board of Trustees, and be able to, work through them so you can help best serve students. It all reps back to, is this serving the students? Yes, no, and then yes, you want to be serving the students. They're incredibly important, and they need to happen once every 6 months or once a year, and as required. So sometimes you do need an emergency meeting. That's what they said. And that's okay. That means that you're focused on solutions. You don't want to be, you want to make sure that stuff happens. So navigating, this one was the one that I found was by far the most interesting. All right. So it was navigating politics as a trustee. Now, this session started out with all 3 speakers missing. They were missing in action. They were not there. So really great start. So
Josh got up and just gave the whole presentation.
Did you stand up?
I didn't have a chance to, because that there was a Missouri state senator that was around and willing to give an off-the-cuff presentation. Wow. So that was super cool. I was super excited for that. And she was talking about her experiences in the state of Missouri. You can be both a trustee and a state senator at the same time, which I'm not sure, I really should have checked, but I don't think that's really a normal thing in most states.
You can.
You can in the state of Illinois, because of conflict of interest stuff, where it's you have to abstain from a lot of stuff, and that's kind of what she went into. And kind of how navigating state level politics with the Board of Trustees. It was super cool. I wish everybody was in that room, because it was just that cool. And then I was with Trustee Morales for the equitable access to 4-year colleges. So I kind of framed it in my mind, sort of the same concept as the, the dual credit, where you're just allowing the students to gain confidence in moving into higher levels of institution. If you just frame it that way, it makes perfect sense why this would help students. You were talking about the rates at which students were graduating, it's super high. Yep. No wonder, because that they get their hands held a little bit going up that process. That's super important to have. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of how I framed it in my mind. But moving on, keeping and maintaining students. So, you get the student walks in the door, you have the head count, but making sure that they don't fail out of classes, making sure they have the tools that they, to succeed in the classes and succeed, with their degree. The first thing that they were really talking about is that advisors need to be honest with the students about the career choice that they're looking at, and the potential, what is this actually going to look like when you pursue this job? What is this actually going to look like? Because a lot of times what students will do is they'll start going down a degree path and then realize that the job was a lot different than what they thought it was. So making sure that students are well informed as they're coming into the institution. And checkups, checking up on students. JJC does this. Checking up on students to say, hey, you got 48 credits. where are you going? Like, we're curious, like, what's your plan from here? And making sure students contact that with the college, just to realign them, to make sure they know what they're doing going forward is really important for making sure that students have success outside of the college. And also to help students that are struggling. So students that, get to a certain credit level, amount of credit hours, and then they struggle to get more. That's like a signal like, hey, maybe we need to check up on this student. Another one I attended which was not really directed at me, was getting Gen Z and millennials on the board of trustees. How do we go about doing that? How do we get these people on boards of trustees? So it was really interesting hearing everybody in the room talk about how Zoomers get on the board of trustees. This is how you do it, folks. This is how you do it. It was super cool listening to it because I could see your perspective. I could see, what are you guys saying? And then what internally am I saying? So it was less of what was said. Actually, what was said was like 15 minutes. The discussion took 45 minutes because it was an awesome discussion. And the first thing is you need to be honest about their experience level. Like, you don't want to fall into the trap that that sometimes employers would do, or they want someone fresh out of, how do I want to phrase this? It's their first job, but they want like 15 years of experience. You need to watch out for that when you're trying to get millennials and Zoomers on the board of trustees. They're not going to have 15 years of experience of like sitting on a board they're going to be new to this. So you need to accommodate them and understand, okay, there's going to be a couple of speed bumps on the way there, but you're building a trustee. That's what you need to do. The other thing that they were talking about was having a temporary board buddy, which is a silly idea, but like having someone there to like help move you along, to kind of walk you up. You look through the board packet. Like when I first saw the board packet, like I panicked because I was like, whoa, there's so much in here. I spent hours reading through it and I was like, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? And then I realized that there's a system, there's a method. I can get through this. It's possible. I've done it a couple times.
He's being totally honest.
I've done it a couple times. You can get through this packet. It's possible. And making sure your trustees being like, hey, okay, realistically, some of this stuff in here, you can kind of you don't need to directly in close read. You don't need to go through every single number on the bills ratified page. Not necessarily.
Not in there.
But you.
Thanks, Josh.
Oh shoot! That wasn't directed towards you. I apologize. I didn't realize. I'm sorry. Okay. I'll retract that statement.
No, you're good.
But it's like, okay, that's hard. Okay.
Now he's blushing.
There, just to have like a realistic expectation of what the job's like, so that way you're not coming into it and being like, you hit a brick wall, you panic, and then you don't want to do it anymore. That's the last thing you want. And then knowing where to recruit. Where do we look for people that are passionate about the community? Where do we look for people that, are on their way up and really want to represent student interest, wants the best for the people around them? And a lot of times, you don't want to fall into that trap looking for 15 years of experience. So a lot of times these are new teachers like public high schools, or these are like troop leaders or pastor leaders for troops and for churches. A lot of times it's the younger people are still trying to get their roots that you really need to help out. It's the plants that are struggling that need the water. So I thought that was an awesome session, and it went fantastic. And then the last one was how to kind of market to your institutions. It wasn't exactly something that I was like, I really had a whole lot going into. I didn't have a whole lot of background in it, but it was very interesting to hear the differences, compare and contrast. How do four-year institutions kind of compare themselves to two-year institutions? And how do they market themselves and present themselves differently? One of the big differences is that, oh man, should I have pulled up in my notes? Oh, it was right there. Awesome. So, a lot of times, four-year institutions, kind of the phrasing is more along the lines of like an atmosphere, opportunity, community, and experiences. Where a lot of times community colleges have affordability, job opportunity, and getting credits. Like efficiency and credits. And they kind of push back against that dichotomy. They said that that's not always the best thing to do. Sometimes it's okay to pull from a four-year institution, say, there's community here. Like, it's all right to push onto that and say, there are clubs here, you can get involved, you can get really active. And we do that to a degree, but really pushing it as a central key component of the college experience was something that they really hit home And then the second thing was that college web pages was the other big one that they hit up on, is that a lot of times college web pages at first appear very easy to navigate. They look really good at first, but then you try to navigate them and then it's very, very difficult. It becomes a frustrating experience. And they said that the number one thing that you should do is really streamline that process. Make sure that the website is not only easy to do, but it's intuitive. You know, you could put someone in front of it and they can find where they need to go without having any help. And yeah, I think that more or less concludes my report. I have some stuff from the it's the Student Advisory Committee for the ACCT. And that's in my board presentation. So I decided to leave it out of here for brevity's sake, but I think I kind of blew past that. So thank you very much.
Thanks, Josh. Very much appreciated.
And I have to say, that's the most detailed report we've ever received about the conference. And I really appreciate it because that means that you enjoyed yourself. It seems like you learned and you're very excited about your role. So thanks, Josh, again. Appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of what I did. The first thing that Kelly Rogers and I did was we visited the Borough of Manhattan Community College. And we got a full run through ride, whatever you want to call it, through their colleges. Was huge. They're in Tribeca, New York. And if all of you are familiar with Tribeca, where John F. Kennedy Jr. lived, it's a very popular area and very rich area to be in. And they bring in a lot of diversity that they shared with us. They've described their grant system, their 2-on-2 trustee program, and they loved hearing about our 3-in-1 program. So they wanted to do more investigation. So I gave them Dr. Namuo's name and number. They showed us their food pantry program and how it functions under their foundation. So Amanda, keep listening. And all of the food that they supply to their students and employees, and the working with grants and their business partners, such as Amazon Fresh, provides these students and employees to get food weekly. Some things are monthly, which is the fresh items, but the staple things are weekly. And they have a refrigerator and a freezer and a whole small little area that they call their pantry, which, how many did they say they served? About 200? Yeah, about 200 students and employees. Then they showed us their daycare program, which I mentioned about the daycare, and how they work through their foundation again to use their 501(c)(3), to obtain grants and donor support. And this program is for 2-year-olds to 12-year-old children, and it's all free to students and currently to employees. That will change, though, probably in the spring to only students, and how they've extended hours to meet students' educational needs so that they can increase enrollment. And they also talked about how teachers are bilingual, or their staff is bilingual, so they did bring that in because they do show that they are Hispanic type of school too. And then they took us on a tour of the Fitterman Hall. And I don't know if Kelly wants to add anything because she was very impressed with that because it was the art. So I don't know if you want to or not.
It was just a wonderful building. It was donated by 2 philanthropists, Miles and Shirley Fiderman. The cool thing about it, it was destroyed in 9/11 and they've rebuilt it now. And when you look out of it, you look at the World Trade Center memorial.
Right.
But it was just a very nice building.
It was really well done. And to do the tours when you're on these conferences are great. And now I'll give you some of the sessions that I went to. I went to the Data for Decisions, Arming Trustees with the Right Information provided by Lynn Benton Community College. It says to provide more in-depth reports on marketing. You need to know where you're marketing and if your marketing is successful. Your success to increase community college visibility and the results. More data for better achievements for our students' success is needed. Institutional metrics on classes and enrollment to confirm the needs for our students and future needs. And they said, follow our students, even though it says not to, they said, follow our students so we know if we need to have anything to come back to with them. The next thing I went to was DEI, moving beyond the task force recommendations and statements and into implementation phase. This was to reassess all of your programs and determine if any needs to be rebooted, and also with your partnerships and business and industry to alleviate any barriers and provide better pathways with them for credentials and/or degrees for your students. Set expectations have a diverse board of trustees and diverse leadership and staff, equitable and consistent student experience for all. And they said, embed your DEI principles into your professional development, achieve racial equalities in all programs. I had mentioned when Mr. Morris was up here. They specified the nursing program to make sure there was equality in all types of students, races going to that program, and ensure student success that funds, I gotta read my sentence, that fundamentally achieves for all. So they want student success. The next one I went to was building the future, investing in trade education to help students build career identity. First thing, get into the grade schools. High school students have a general idea of what they may want to become, but get on site in high schools with an advisor. Learn the community needs and partner with those businesses that will aid in hiring these students and financially supporting their education. Build trust with all. Construction, manufacturing, auto, technology are some of the facilities that they have on site. So they said those are what you should be dwelling on and building on. Project-based learning, affordable housing they need, sustainability, recycled rides, agriculture and safety, community to reach to and impact K through 8, 9 through 12. It says reentry programs, industrial partners, and then build on the families. As Trustee Morales says, this was all on entire families. So they wanted us to incorporate everything about the family. Have direct links to the universities, extend clear pathways, as I mentioned earlier. Deliver your promise. When you make your promise, make sure you're delivering your promise. Prepare to educate a diverse community of learners. And this was sponsored by the Metro Community College in Nebraska. I then went to, and this will be, I had the caucus, the Central Region caucus that I went to, which all of the members that are in our Central Region, we all met and discussed things that came out of what our needs were. And we looked at after COVID, and the big issue was enrollment and making sure we had DEI that was present in all that we were doing. So Escortina, you're doing a great job. And it's good to see that I was able to share what JJC does in as far as the DEI goes, because a lot of them don't have the DEI, directors that you are in leading us in that way. Then we had the ACC, I was attending the ACCT Senate meeting, which I'm the delegate. We voted in Central Region people, which was great, so that we do have some control on our area. And then the one that I did attend was improving the lives of communities through healthcare. And this partnerships. And it was addressing the critical state of healthcare workforce in our community. Remove barriers so people can advance. Get more people in a career pipeline. Provide more support for those in that pipeline. Improve coordination, flexibility, and capability of existing programs. Develop healthcare academies from 9 through 12 and better develop dual credit. Dual credit was huge with this academy that they're doing. Develop and address the issue with your partnerships. Know that we are facing a critical shortage in the healthcare workforce. And because of that, I'm going to give each of you, because this was a phenomenal presentation, a packet, because I asked them to provide it to me. I want you guys to all share in this, and I ask that you pass it out to each of you so you have it, because this had over 150 people in this, and it was packed. They couldn't add any more. And it was really interesting, but yet compelling to be there, because it pulled you in to see what they had gone through to unite with workforces to get them to sponsor and to be contributors financially for all of this.
Oh, wow, this is nice.
And you'll see in one of them, and I didn't keep mine, I don't think.
I haven't.
I just passed it.
No. I'm fine. I've got it on my thing. I just wanted to draw your attention to this page, which it shows the 9 through 12, the Academy Excellence. Look at that. And I want Amy, Dr. Gray, to get a copy of this, because this is really stunning, because they've started working with the hospitals and the health cares to get in and start the academy so that they can start when they're sophomores, when they turn 16, to start getting licensing so that they can be in and working. Yeah. So I think that's great. And this book, I think, covered quite a bit. We had over 100 plus sessions we could have gone to. And I think it's good to hear what we've provided so that you know what we wholeheartedly are doing to better ourselves as trustees. And I thank all of you for your reporting, and I turn it over to the chair. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Students trustee report. I think that's been segued into there. 6.5 buildings and grounds committee report.
Actually, do you have a report?
He has a report.
I think we do have a student trustee report.
Student trustee report. Okay, we do. All right. Okay, then.
I know I was a little long-winded, but that was
segue on again.
All right. All right, this is the student trustee report for November the 9th of 2022. So first, to open up, I wanted to talk about wellness. There was some open recreation for wellness that was done on September the 30th, September the 23rd, October the 7th. They were just activities for people to do and, you know, stretch their legs and pump the endorphins, because a lot of times people tend to do better mentally if they're physically active. Community trunk or treat. This was a huge event. All right, this was a huge event. I was not able to make it, but there were many, many clubs that all participated in it. As you can see, the picture on the far right, that's a huge crowd of people. Like, that's a lot of people there. We served a large portion of the community, and I'm really proud of the students for that. Disability Awareness Day. So Disability Awareness Day, it happened Friday, October the 28th, and it was basically a panel where they talked about, well, disability awareness. Community art. So the Veterinary Medical Technology Program mural was reviewed to the community. The mural is a colorful decoration of some of the community college's fine arts department alumni and decorates the B building's dog play yard. It's it's very colorful. It pops when you walk right past it, and it's really nice to look at. There was another goose chase. This seems to be a reoccurring trend. There was another goose chase, and for October the 24th through the 28th, and that one, it was Halloween themed. So the JJC Medical Assisting Program hosted an Essentials Drive at the start of the month and received over 1,000 donations. It's a huge number. These items have been donated to homeless shelters and have been compiled into personal care packages to make the lives of those easier. JJC Fine Arts. Dr. Namuo kind of stole my thunder here a little bit, but the Wolves open November the 3rd and closes November the 6th. It's a unique 90-minute play that takes place in the JJC Event Center on the indoor turf, which I think is like a really creative idea. That's like awesome. You move it out of the theater and you put it on the turf. It's like, I really like that. I thought it was so cool. The Blazer. So the Blazer's been picking up steam rapidly. It's been accelerating, where they have more and more articles. They have lots and lots of writers now. Midterms are approaching. There's several articles. There was one talking about the midterms, and there's a lot of articles in there talking about media review. And a little bit of a shameless plug, I will have an op-ed in there. I'm gonna have an op-ed in there for the December edition, so watch out for that. On top of that, they're looking to have a print edition come, they used to print editions, and due to COVID, they ended up stopping because no one was on campus to physically read the articles, so they went online, and they're looking to kind of start to bring that back. It's a kind of a financial endeavor, so they're looking to do it come spring. So the ACC conference in New York. I'm not going to rehash everything I said right there. I'm just going to try and keep it to what happened for the Student Advisory Committee to the ACCT conference. So the big thing that was basically more or less almost one of the only things that we discussed as a group was mental health. That was like the one thing, like, hey, let's talk about mental health. And that was the entire meeting. That and organization. So the ACCT conference for the students, there ended up being a little bit of like a restructuring. It was created for the purpose of letting students talk to the ACCT in a way that's formalized and organized. But so many students are joining it that having it just be a committee becomes difficult, because we had like maybe 20 students in there. It was a lot of people. So we were talking about reorganization. That is a currently ongoing debate, a very fiery debate over Telegram. So fun stuff. We're talking about turning into a contingency group, which it's a difference in definition that better serves the goals of what we're trying to accomplish. And then there's the student trustee contingency group focus. So this was the green sheet I grabbed. It is for the December. It's for the Washington, D.C. trip in February. Don't know where I got December from. And it's basically just the legislative stuff that we need to push as student representatives. And that was the number 2 thing that we talked about there. So the whole meeting revolved about that. Afterwards, we went over and we talked about this stuff. So I can provide an email to anybody that needs this. I was not able to achieve a PDF copy of it. Probably should have got it. But it's mostly just like 2 sides. Like, here's what you serve to legislators. Like, we want this stuff, we want this stuff. And this is subject to heavy change depending on what happens in the midterms, of course. So some things on here might not, might be better to be pushed for. Some other things you might drop. It really changes depending on what happens in the midterms. So this is in flux. So, and I think I already went over the student advisory, College Board Student Advisory Committee. That was what I was talking about previously. I forgot I actually had a slide dedicated to that. Oops. All right. And that concludes my report.
Josh, can you make sure that Kelly, Rotortinelli, Dr. Namuo, and I get a copy of that?
Yes.
Since we're the ones that typically go on the Washington, D.C. thing, so that we have at least a preliminary idea, and then you could shoot us any changes that you might see that come through on that if you have anything that comes up.
Yeah, sure.
Copy too, please.
Yeah, this stuff is like super important, and then I can keep you guys updated with what happens. It's in flux, like I said, so I'll keep you guys updated.
Yeah, because it'll help prepare us for the DC trip in February.
All right. Any other questions? Comments, concerns, criticisms,
Great.
critiques, annotations? All right.
You're done.
Thank you. All right. Where were we?
6.5. 6.5.
Buildings and grounds.
Buildings and grounds. Oh, yeah, I already said that.
Bear with me. I only got about 100 pages to go through here.
Uh-oh.
Take your time. Now I'll be as quick as possible. We have a couple projects that are in construction right now. Repair the leaking storefronts and A building. The drawings have been submitted, and it looks like there's an anticipated completion date in December. In construction, it looks like the J building elevators are in their final punch list stage, so we're able to use those to go up and down the 3 flights of floors there. It's good. The miscellaneous capital improvement projects for the HVAC equipment, I think we're still waiting on the equipment being installed. I think we're lead times are about probably, I think we had 20 or 30 weeks out for lead times on certain pieces of equipment. As you know, COVID and this whole thing has disrupted the supply chains very significantly. So, and then awaiting the bid process is we're also looking at doing air handling unit replacements, which is also a CDB project. The bid process has been completed. We're just waiting for a CDB to get back to us with approval. And these projects are pretty significant because we got those elevators in the J building. They were the CDB paid $5 million for it, and we paid $1 million for it. So these are pretty significant savings for us as well. So also in design, we replaced the B building main power transformers, which I think is what we approved tonight. We replaced the G building switches, which Trustee Broderick corrected the language on that, and I appreciate the addition to that as well.
Thank you.
And remodel the G building restrooms as well. Let's see here. I'm just going to skip down to the workday and get the shortened workday update. We're on November 2nd. I guess we started phase 2 of the mock semester with the students, which is pretty cool, as what I was told. I guess they go from beginning to end on the whole process, and we've learned a lot from that moving forward. Workday staff was on campus for this training as well. Student interviews, testing, focus groups took place. There is a couple minor hiccups. The executive team executive sponsor continues to work with the partnership AVAAP to respond to critical limitations and issues related to the workday, specifically for student product. So we do, with any new software, as everyone knows, there are minor hiccups, and we're trying to work through them. I was told that we reached out to them, and we would probably get some answers and some ideas in probably a week or so. So that concludes my report.
Ask a question.
Yes.
The leaking storefront windows. We've talked about that for a long time. Are we incurring additional damage for leaking windows, or are we mitigating that some way?
I'm sure there's a big towel underneath there that's soaking. And a caution: do not walk on the floor. It's slippery here. So I didn't reach out. Pat, you wanna?
Yeah, the short answer is no. It's a minor leakage, and we come in and we either extract it with a carpet extractor, and then dry it out, and then we're fine.
Okay, so we're not replacing carpeting or worried about any subfloor damage or.
It's all rubber-based back, and it's glued to the concrete, and so it's easy. Even if we had to, we just peel it up, re-stick it.
Okay. Thank you.
Are you done with your question?
Yep. I just want to know if we were costing us or.
I have a question too. I noticed in our expense report, we replaced windows in Dr. Namuo's, I think it's this area.
It's right,
Was it,
right
did we,
over here.
is there a warranty on it? Because I thought that Dr. Mitchell had experienced the same thing. So I'm just asking because is there something that's in the building that's not right?
Can you come up to the mic, Pat? Thank you.
I mean, because it was a huge cost. So I'm like, okay, did we do this already? And was there a warranty? I mean, I know he gave some answer in that. Thank you. But I'm still wondering warranty.
This building was built in 2010, so there is no longer any warranty on any of our envelope on this building. We have been experiencing leaks throughout the third floor primarily for probably about the last 2.5 years. We tried everything we could to mitigate that water infiltration, and to the point where we had a company come out that did forensic analysis on the storefront material to try to find out where these leaks were coming from, and it was inconclusive. So long story short, we spent a lot of money trying to patch it to the point where we said it's time to replace it. And so all of the storefront material is being completely torn out and replaced with brand new storefront, and we're reusing the glass. So it is a very frustrating process to
So
say
being
the
that we've
least.
put the new windows in, there is a warranty?
There's a 1-year warranty.
That's it?
So we have the last set of windows that were done were the VP suites along here, and then along the north side of the building, there were several windows over there that had been replaced. When we had that 50-mile-an-hour wind the other day, we had leaks and brand new windows. We had the contractor on site today, and we expressed to them very loudly that we paid for a sealed system, and he was very responsive and said, we understand that, and we will do everything that we need to do to make sure it's a sealed system. So they anticipate this weekend they're tied up, but next weekend they are going to come back through and reassess all the windows. It's a frustrating process.
My questions and concern, because I'm in building because I'm a lender, and I know that when the builders are building, they have a choice of asking you what type of window you want made by whatever manufacturer. I mean, and I've gotten to learn what ROW means, rotten old windows, but because I have them in my house and I had leaks. So do we have the opportunity on the commercial side to do choices of if we could have done a better, more expensive window?
Yes. We did not choose an inexpensive window system.
Right.
I'm just asking. I'm trying to get a feel for it because
it's a very interesting system because it weeps water through the aluminum storefront, right? And so what's happening is when we get these driving rains and we get the excessive winds, it's weeping the water through the storefront as it's supposed to, but it can't take as much water as being pushed through it. And so then it has to find little gaps for it to come out on the inside. But the good news is, since we've replaced all these windows, we're not getting any water infiltration under the windows because they were improperly sealed is what we're finding out from the original construction on the base. So that's been taken care of in this next phase. And I do believe like these windows here and the one set in the business auxiliary that was just recently replaced, we had no leaks with this. And so it's a separate contractor, different contractor, because we have to take low bid. And so this contractor has reviewed what this contractor did, and that's what they intend to do with the windows that they installed.
And the problem with these things is that the supply chain just takes so forever to get everything ordered. Like, look at it. We're looking for the HVAC equipment up there. It's taking, it's like, was it 180 days lead time for the HVAC equipment?
Yeah, even longer.
So,
It's crazy.
we're also talking about doing another rooftop that we may get approval for funding from CDV. And I think they said that they're anticipating that's going to be 2023 at least for that install, right?
That's a project that started in 2020.
Yeah.
And we're finishing up all of the specifications, and they anticipate a lead time of 6 to 10 months for the air handling units. So we're not even certain we'll make next summer 2023.
But we have no damage, structural damage from the leakage then?
No.
That's there. Because I know, like in my front bay window, it was because of the way it was put in with, as you called it, that, and they didn't have enough of the, whatever the shielding was supposed to be. So I had water coming in, and that was like, it caused a lot of damage. So that's why I'm wondering if they're
different from residential construction. This is commercial, which is all steel,
Right.
stud and concrete floors. You're going to have wood around all your windows, and so your soffits and sills will all be wood, and so those things will get damaged from the water infiltration over time. Here we don't have that same issue.
Okay.
Well, Pat, we appreciate all your work. Just so the trustees know that I think it was the day after the October meeting, these windows were out. You know, if you came in here the day after, I mean, Pat's on it, switching stuff around. So appreciate you
Thanks for
taking
sticking
care of
around
us
tonight too.
Yeah,
You could have snuck away and not had to deal with
I
it.
think Trustee Stamborski might have a question.
It was just a comment, that's all.
Yeah.
I walked up here, I forgot something in the boardroom, so I walked up here and it was really nice out, and I saw the whole room was like there was stuff going everywhere, and I was like, I'm like, man, the boardroom's being renovated? That works super fast. Wow, that was fast. And then I got it cleared up. But
okay, good.
For a split second there, it was very.
But the weather was warm. You would have thought he was Arizona weather bag.
No, it was freezing in here.
Yeah, it was like there was like wind coming in. That's
it was like 52 degrees in here.
Oh my god.
Warm for you.
That was a joke.
Almost
Okay.
sweater weather.
That was a joke, but yeah. All right.
All right.
Save
how
us,
about
Chairman.
6.6 Board Policy Committee reports.
I don't have anything.
Other than what
than
was
what-
given earlier?
Yeah.
Sounds like a good report to me.
Yep.
Okay, 6.7 Finance Committee report.
We do not have anything for this evening.
Another good comment. 6.8 ACC conference
already did that.
report.
We're good there.
Yeah, we get that.
Okay, I just want to say we already did it.
Yeah.
Unless you want them to go all over again.
Yeah. 6.9 is chair's report, and I just want to thank Kelly Rogers and Karen, our new, and Karen, don't let me butcher your last name again. Rizek. All right, everybody got that name, Rizek? So we'll be talking to you a lot during this because, as I said, you both need all the help I can get. And so I want to thank you both, and especially Kelly for your service, been in there taking care of us through all of this. Thank you very much. So, and thank you, Yolanda. And yes, and we're going to have a closed session tonight. So this will conclude our meeting at long last. And so as I like to say, it's closed. But you don't have to leave, but but you can't stay here. Sorry.
Do we need a motion to go into closed session?
We have to go through the motion for the closed session. You want to go do that now?
You need it under 2C1, 2C8, and 2C11.
Yes. Right.
Second. Trustee Lee,
Yes.
Trustee Mahalik,
Yes. Sorry, I can't hear you.
Trustee Morales,
Yes.
Trustee Stamborski,
Aye.
Trustee Broderick,
Aye.
Trustee Budzinski,
Yes.
Trustee Garcia Guillen,
Yes.
and Trustee O'Connell.
Yes. Thank you all.